women is hoes, 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 women is hoes. So if women is hoes, then
Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps. I apologize for the inconvenience. They always late, as you can see. There'll be a bunch more popping on here shortly. But I said the people cannot wait any longer. Feel me? Wow. They be acting like they doing me a favor and all that. You know what I mean? Like Jalen was popping.
Hey, what's up?
I'm in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here. Come on.
Ali, what's good?
Hey.
Rebecca, what's popping?
What's popping, everybody? Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
What's up, man? Did y'all see the show from today, man? Before I say what's up to the people.
Barely. On and off.
On and off? Okay. We'll see if we can articulate it, man. Callie, I wish we could have hit what's her name, but I ain't forgot to ask you, though. You know what I'm saying? Let me see.
I can message her really quick to see if she answers.
I think I saw her in the Discord. Lee became a member today at the show. Keisha locked in.
What up, buzzing, bird, flip a dozen. Holla at your boy, you thought your cousin was.
Salute to Keisha for becoming a member. Make sure y'all also follow suit. Ninja Cool was popping. Playboy Williams in the building. Man, brother Mr. McBride was goody, man. Make sure y'all get Mr. McBride linked to his SoundCloud. He has some dope shit up there, man. Mel, you already know. Brother D in the building. D, this I don't think I've seen D wasn't there this afternoon. Was he? He probably was though. CC. CC said she got lost on the show today. All right, come on. Let me see. Ashe in the building. Salute. E-Dub in the building. What's popping? Thank you. All right. Let me see. I got Mel. I got Ashe already. I got James was popping. Sporty's in the building. We got a hell of an announcement coming up for y'all too. Devin was popping. Keeps it 100 in the building. Salute. Son Kid, shalom. Lights, man. David M was goody. Homeboy, shalom. Mr. JTK in the building. Strada was popping. Make sure y'all go like, share, and subscribe to the SPS podcast. Please, somebody drop the link in the chat. You feel me? David M was goody. I ain't seen you in a minute. Hope all is well. Mike Davis was goody. That's a fact, though. I'm telling you, man. Next time y'all go on a date, I don't care if it's your girlfriend, a first date, your wife. If she late, leave her or don't go, bro. You got to set that standard ASAP. You heard? Quincy was good. Remy in the building. Marquez was popping. Aswan was goody. My brother Darius in the building. Salute. Grape T, of course. Grape T be holding it down too, man. I got to get rid of some of these moderators, man. I need to get some new ones, man. O'Shea was good. Nightbot, salute. So what was goody? Tell a friend. J. Ali in the building. Was goody. Zagu, what's up? I don't think I see you this afternoon, man. Salute. All right, God, what's good, my G? I ain't seen you in a minute. Prime was popping. Prime was holding it down yesterday with all the stats and shit. Real shit. Big Mufasa, not even a member, bro. God.
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here.
Tell you what, though. We fight that gorilla. Mufasa got to be a part of the 100. That's for damn sure. Damn sure. You feel me? Big Giz, what up, kid? Good to see you, man. Shannon, I ain't see you yesterday or this afternoon. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So I was gonna wait for Rel just so she can restate the premise. But Callie, was you tuned in for the most part this afternoon?
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
And obviously we'll have to reiterate like once the other ladies obviously get up here, right? But what would you say if you wanted to restate the initial premise of this afternoon and then the let's say the synopsis from the end of the show?
Okay. So from what I gathered, it was more so like there are men in general have not evolved, right, as far as their mindset and their ideology. But the men at the top, the more evolved people, pretty much set the rules to keep the most of the general populace of men in check. So they come up with all the laws and everything like that to keep order and to keep men from going to their primal nature.
You picking up what she putting down, Rebecca? Jalen? And it's a broadcast, Rebecca. They can't hear you nodding. People be driving and watching. What say you? You picking up what she putting down?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your take on it, Rebecca? The men at the top are evolved, which is why the laws have let's use the word progressed and changed to where, as an example, women have more rights. People are more civilized because of the different constructs that are put in place. But it's the men at the top that have these progressive ideologies. All the low tier men in the middle are just acting based on what's put in front of them, or the constructs or the consequences. What you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the men at the top are definitely evolved because of how they move and how they adapt. The men in the middle are definitely progressing. And then obviously the men at the bottom are like playing catch up.
So you think that the men that, let's say, what constitute a man at the bottom?
The men that aren't really taking those opportunities, aren't as ambitious. They're kind of just coasting to get by. That's what I would constitute a man at the bottom.
So the men at the top, I think what it would be surmised to is the men with the money, power, respect that effectuate the change. Let's say lawmakers, politicians, right? Because they're the ones that are voting, even though their constituents, it's quote unquote put them in place, right? We know a large majority of constituents don't even know who their congressperson is, don't even know who their senator is. People just clicking, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers just I think there's the button where you could just vote the whole like blue ticket or red ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those men are those men more evolved because of the things that they've put in place in the past 100 years or so? They put jail in front of us. They put like jail in front of us, the laws in front of us that keep men at bay, right? So like as an example, adolescence is rather new, I would say adolescence reared its head like mid 1920s, I know this one lady, she's older, she's about 60, but her grandmother got married at 9 years old. So adolescence is a rather new construct, right? But men put things in place so that to keep other men at bay. That's the sentiment that was shared.
Yeah. You
think that's true?
I think they did. Yeah. I think they did put stuff in place for the men that don't have the power to kind of just fall in line and keep them. Yeah.
So you think that niggas would be savage without these laws in place?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Damn. Asia, what's up?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Jalen. Niggas is savage if it ain't for the laws. Jesus Christ. What say you, kiddo?
The way you kind of structured the context, I can't really agree. I would
Well, you
argue
don't have
that
to. Well, let me interject this. You don't have to follow how I structured it. You could go rogue if you please. I just know Rebecca didn't see like the show at all.
yeah, I saw the part of the initial part and then the last 10 minutes. So I'm just going based off of that and what you said. So I can't really agree. I think that just because the top tier of men have put things in place for men not to be savages, I don't think it's because they care about women. I think they care about the economic downfall if people were to just be left to their own devices, or just men specifically. I think they care more about the bottom line than people. So I couldn't argue that they're more evolved than all the other men.
So you think like if we're just looking at slightly more modern times that women's rights as an example, yeah, is a byproduct of I think even Sherelle said this, capitalism, not
Of
care.
course. Yeah. Us
Okay.
voting, us being able to participate in being employed in the same industries as men, that's for the economic benefit of the country, not because they cared about women having equality or equity or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. And do you think that the feminist movement, family court structure and things of that nature is under the guise of the same capitalistic ideology?
Um, Now it is. Initially, that's not what feminism was made to be, but that's what it's become. So, yeah.
But when it was supported though, right? When initially it was supported by the men, right? 'Cause that's the only way it could really gain legs. Was that for the benefit of women or was that for the benefit of the economy?
Feminism was for the benefit of women.
Okay. So the men that voted like, supported that, right?
Hmm.
In its onset, would you say that those men were more evolved?
Um, I would I would say they were more evolved in thinking ahead and thinking about the future of America. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Are countries, and this is a genuine question, are countries more or less successful when people are married in like family situations?
What do you mean accessible?
Successful, sorry.
Oh, successful.
That's a very
I would have
Like
to
if
say, yeah.
I think they're more successful because of structure. Um, I think I'm also very biased, Hamp, too. Um,
yeah. No, I mean I think just in terms of when we see even how kids are reared, right? You got to double team these damn kids, right? So if you ain't double teaming them, they got worse outcomes, right? So if we just looked at it like that, and the more kids that are produced in a productive family, they should be more productive members of society. So it
mm,
seems like by proxy, that would make the country more successful capitalistically, right? And so if we look at that and we see the families degenerate, right, because of several things, but would you guys agree that the feminist movement would be a part of that? The family structure kind of being degenerative at this point, or no?
as a part
No.
of the generation of family structure,
Yes, man.
yes, because I'm not really with the feminist movement. So again, biasedly, I would say it definitely has a partial hand in it, um, because of how it's taken by majority of women who don't really understand what the whole feminist movement is. I don't really follow it, but based off of what I see, it's like, oh, men aren't needed. That's how I would say a lot of women are taking it. Not saying all, but a lot of women do take it that way, and then they run with it. And then it's just like religion. It's taken out of context, and then it's branched off into a whole different thing. So that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which I think feminism is it one of the factors that made the family structure degenerate or dissolve?
No, I'd have to say no. I don't think that feminism played a part in that. I think that there are other factors as far as when they started, you know, locking all the men up, then those kids grow up without the man, and then it turns into the kids saying, well, I didn't have a dad, so I don't need one. And that's where that came from. I don't think that came from feminism.
Okay. So the empowerment of women thinking that they don't need the man, is that a part of like feminism or
No,
no?
I don't think so. I don't think that that's feminism. No.
Do you think that most people would agree with that sentiment?
With what, mine or yours?
Yours.
Yeah, if you just tell them what feminism actually is instead of whatever it is that they think it is, then yeah, I would say that they would agree with mine.
Okay.
So feminism has nothing to do with I don't need a man. That's not
What is
feminism.
it actually?
It's the empowerment of women that they're autonomous beings, and they can, you know what I'm saying? They can, they're actual people, and they're not, you know, they're not dependent for survival on a man. But that has nothing to do with not needing one, as far as when it comes to having a family.
But isn't that what you said? They're not dependent on survival. That's not true. So if feminism is teaching that, then that would speak to what I thought it was, because you are dependent on survival from men.
No, from men, yes, but not from a man as far as in a relationship for
But
a
think
family.
about think about that, right? So you're saying I don't I'm not dependent, right? So now that breaks down the family structure by proxy, right? Because you don't see the need, you know. Um
So for
and then
survival,
but you do need men for survival
no, you don't need to be in a relationship in order to survive.
though. I guess, yeah. Okay. So that's what it and see that's why I think that I simply disagree with what you're saying, because it kind of skirts around and then it ends with what exactly? You don't have to be with a man to survive. I guess
Correct.
my question is, Callie, are we looking to survive or to thrive?
Well, no, when it comes to survival, like, so before feminism, whatever, you couldn't do basically anything by yourself. You couldn't, I guess the bank account thing or whatever, you couldn't own any property, you couldn't do anything without being in a relationship with a man. All feminism was saying was that I am my own being, I should be able to do these things. I don't need to be in a relationship to do these things. However, whatchamacallit, when it comes to building a family, that's where the need of a man comes in, but I don't need a man to survive in this
But look,
world.
at my question though in the onset, right? What was my question? The dissolution of the family, right? So
Hmm.
friends, families voted together. They had the same bank accounts, right? And now, quite literally, feminism saying, "I don't need that construct to do these things that I should have quote unquote rights to do," right? So I understand that, but by proxy, what you're saying, the dissolution of the family, this would have to be a facet. I'm not blaming. Again, I already prefaced this. I don't know if y'all heard me, but I'm not saying it's the total thing to blame on a dissolution of the families. But based on what you're saying, it would like come up, like almost have to be a factor.
So that's saying that in order for me to survive, I have to have a family.
No, I'm saying exactly what you said, right? Women had to be in a family to get these things, right? To get these benefits. Feminism said, no, I should be able to do these on my own, right? Without a family. So by proxy, it would have to contribute to the dissolution of family. You see what I'm saying? Because it's literally saying, I don't need to have a family to do X. You know, not to say women shouldn't have had those rights, but just by proxy, it does, you know? What you think?
I follow the logic. I follow what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just the like linear logic, you know what I'm saying? Damn. So do you think those men that voted in, you know, that were for the feminist movement, because it needed men to gain legs, right? You need support of as many people as possible, essentially. Do you think that those guys had a forward or progressive mindset, or you think that by proxy they were more evolved than the men who didn't support it, as an example?
Yeah, I think they are more evolved because, you know, human beings aren't property.
What you mean?
Because that's what we were. We were property. We were considered property.
Okay.
So yeah, they were more evolved. It's off CT from that.
So when women got the right to vote and to have bank accounts, when they didn't have those rights, they were property by proxy.
Yeah, they were considered property. You weren't your own autonomous being.
Is that true? Like, does it say that?
Property?
What I'm saying is, does it say that? Like, does it say that women were property?
We were considered property. I don't know if it's written down anywhere, but.
So what do you mean then?
We were considered property. You couldn't do anything. You weren't your own. You weren't your own person.
Women weren't people?
Are you saying, Callie, like we just didn't have rights, or that we were property? Because those are like kind of two different things. Even though we weren't able to do much, does that make us property, or does that just mean that we didn't have as many rights as we do now?
Well, you know, slaves were considered property too, and we didn't have any rights there either.
You said what was considered property? I'm sorry. What did you say?
Slaves were considered property. You used to have to pay, or there was some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? A dowry if you had money, or if there was some kind of familial agreement. You're going to go ahead and you're going to marry my daughter. This is what we're going to get in return, type stuff. You really didn't necessarily have a choice in who you were going to marry.
Is it a fair exchange, or is it?
I guess what's the word? I guess barter, for lack of a better word. If you just didn't have the cash money to pay the dowry, I guess. But there was some sort of there's supposed to be some sort of benefit for your daughter to be marrying this family. You were supposed to be getting something out of it.
But the also benefit would come with the man for the daughter who's getting married, because he's taking care of her. So it's a fair exchange.
He gets what he wants, but you ain't had no say so in it.
But you get taken care of, so it's a fair exchange. That's why I'm trying to understand the property aspect, because I see it as a fair exchange, you know, because yes, you do have to be a mother. You have to be, you know, caretaker, the household, take care of the household, but you're also not having to work. You're getting taken care of, all those things. So for those roles back in the day, for a man and a woman, that's a fair exchange. Even though I know we look at it differently, but that was considered a fair exchange.
For them. Not for the woman. Was
Okay.
she a woman?
Go
And
ahead. Yeah, sorry.
well, no, I'm just thinking through it. So there's a couple different sources. It's kind of like it when it's doing this AI thing. So one says the law stack exchange, which I don't even know what that is, said women weren't considered their husband's property here. Then the AI overview says the enactment of married women's property acts across various jurisdictions starting in the mid 19th century, but it sounds like property rights there. And then the reason why I don't know about this source is because it's Wikipedia. So it's like for women to own property, it seems like what it's breaking down as.
That sound like some kind of property act or whatever. Kind of like owning the property.
And I just wonder, do you think that the overall benefit has been? Do you think women have benefited from like these things being enacted?
What you mean, like the new laws or whatever?
Yeah.
It's a little give and take.
It's kind of It's kind of questionable, right? Like,
Yeah, there's definitely a give and take there. There's definitely pros and cons to it, most def. It just depends on which way, what one's life experience would be, or what one's life experience is, whether or not they would look at it as a pro or a con.
Damn,
So I guess
know.
you had go ahead.
My bad. No, my bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I guess if you had a bad experience as far as, not being able to make your own decisions, then you would say that, yeah, like if you were forced to do something that you didn't want to do, then yeah, those rights were definitely a pro. But I would say that if you, if it was more so like a bad experience as far as you don't end up getting cuffed, right? You don't end up with a man. Then you are forced to, take care of yourself. And whether or not, where you are on the socioeconomic line, that depends on how hard you have to work. So that can definitely be a con.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the socioeconomic statement is probably the biggest. Like that's how we do a lot of determining, right? Like people's earnings, quality of life, and etc. And we kind of look at it like, when I'm saying women, I think you guys know this by now. I'm usually talking about black women specifically, like us, just for most conversation. And so when we assess it, I'm just like, damn. As you know, things are usually easier when you have somebody helping you, right? One house, two sources of income, right? With two people working. You see that marriage is, from what I gathered, and shout out to Jeremiah, he's into finances. Marriage is still one of the quickest ways to wealth, and definitely the easiest way to transfer wealth. So I just wonder, is there actual benefit? Or sorry, do the alleged benefits actually outweigh the cost? This is kind of adjacent to the men evolving, but it's interesting to me, because I'm just like, damn.
Who you marry.
Say again?
It all depends on who you end up marrying.
Yeah, no, definitely. We just see marriage as being generally beneficial financially. You know what I mean? All don't mean all, obviously, right? But when we look at it, like, damn, did that actually help women on his face or hurt women? Because think about this, even the promiscuity aspect, for that door to be opened, is that an actual benefit to women? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Callie.
No, I just finished talking. Go ahead.
You're like being promiscuous. Is that beneficial for women?
Yeah, just the ability to have, essentially explore sexuality, with limited judgment, I guess, right?
No, I don't think that it is beneficial for women to just have sex with whoever just for the experience.
What you guys think? Like, is that just the fact that women and right? So I don't want to pigeonhole it by just using that framing, right? But I think it would be governing their own body, so to speak, right? So with the sexual impropriety, you also have, if you believe in these things, the my body, my choice thing that also came with it, right? Abortion rights and etc. Right? Which, and I just put all that in the same bucket because it starts with being able to have sex out of wedlock or without intention, which kind of leads to these abortion stats kind of growing. You see what I'm saying? But I just want to make sure we consider all of it. Like, does the pro outweigh the con? Would you need all the abortion stuff if it wasn't for the freedom that women now have, for sexual promiscuity?
Yeah, hindsight being 2020, I would have to
Mhm.
say the cons outweigh the pros because at first with birth control and things like that, it was more
Mhm.
so about if you didn't want to have another baby, but your husband did, you basically had no choice. You know, he was gonna do what he did, and you probably gonna end up pregnant because he's shooting up the club. You know, couldn't, you know what I mean? But yeah, hindsight being 2020, what it ends up turning into at this point, fast forward, yeah, I would say the cons definitely outweigh the pros on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's and I think you being objective, right? Because when you put it all together, like, how much juice do you actually get out of that fucking turnip? You know, what you think, Jalen? Come on, man, we can't hear you.
Sorry, that I asked about what so far. What part do you want
Well,
me
what we were just talking about, like, we assessing the kind of assessing like the feminism aspect, right?
to?
Um, do you think that the sexual facet of feminism, right, to give women those like more freedoms in that realm, so to speak, um, power over their own bodies, being able to abort and etc. Do you think that that aspect is overall, as we look at it today, beneficial to women, or did it actually hurt more than it helped, just based on what we seeing in the earth?
If the goal is to just create families and we care about the future generation, no. But I I just don't think everyone deserves the privilege to be a parent. Even
Okay.
if you have a biological imperative, not everybody's meant to be a parent.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so you're saying that to say what exactly as you correlate it back? You saying that's why we need abortion?
No, I'm saying
Oh.
yes, it's a detriment to us, especially if we care about just creating families. But then I think about what a healthy family structure is supposed to run, how it's supposed to run, and what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, not everybody is meant to be a parent or experience raising children,
Sure,
especially like, yeah.
we agree. But now, what's the correlation that you're drawing, like with the sexual power of your body aspects of feminism?
Feminism overall is the detriment to creating families. Feminism is more so about individualism than collectivism. So in the long run, it hurts us when we're trying to talk about long-term commitment like marriage, when we're able to divorce for quote unquote frivolous reasons. It's it's easier now to get a divorce than it was before we had all of these opportunities. Um, Traditional gender roles out the window. There's more diverse family structures now than ever. So yeah,
What would a diverse family structure be?
like blended families, having co-parenting relationships, baby mamas, only one parent being in the household, like just different types of family structures.
Oh, but those would be a negative impact, right?
Yeah. If you're talking about the goal is to have a functioning family, healthy functioning family with
There we go.
successful
Yeah,
children. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm glad you added that word, right? Because people say up and down, hey, we making it. You know what I'm saying? We getting it done day in and day out. But I think healthy is always the key, and that should be the striving goal. You know. Remember we were talking in the Discord, right? And we were saying how it was unrealistic to do what Bino was saying, and everybody should get married before they have sex. Marry before you care, all that good stuff, right? But literally, like what Jalen was saying, the diverse structures are still speaking to sexual deviancy, right? Regardless, So I agree. Like y'all was saying, I think Jalen said in the chat in the Discord, like it's unrealistic to say people marry before they have sex, but discussing anything else would be in some way, shape, or form promoting the fact that people are going to be sexual deviant. So how do we solve for sexual deviancy in the best way possible?
I think using yourself as an example is the best way.
No. Hell no.
How else are you supposed to teach these kids that is? I don't know.
It's hard.
Y'all are parents. I'm not. Y'all gotta figure that out.
Difficult, man. It's crazy out here, but that's like you said, that's a platitude, right? Marry before you have sex, right? In our day and age, that's a platitude, right? Speaking in a platitude, but that would be the only way that you could guard against all the other shit,
But what if, like, kids are smart, right? And they're inquisitive.
No.
Yeah, there are kids that are smart and inquisitive.
Oh, there are kids that are smart. I thought you were talking about the majority of kids.
No, there are kids that are smart and inquisitive. So I'm more so thinking about those. Like, you could leave it there if you wanted to, the conversation. Like, just marry before you have sex. That's not going to work for an inquisitive kid.
That's the minority, man. These motherfuckers just dumb as rocks, man.
All right.
Trust me.
Jalen, you're definitely right. Most kids are definitely inquisitive, and that's kind of like
they
like to try shit. They like to try shit, man.
But that's the problem. Kids. That's the problem. Like, it don't matter, that's why we got to leave it. And I got 2 girls. So you got to leave, like, the smart out of it. Because
these dumbass kids be eating
common sense ain't common. I'll say you that now.
That's
they be eating soap and all that, dumbass kid.
They want to do what the next person is doing, and social media will definitely help with that. So no matter what we tell them, they friend or they doing this over here, they doing that over there. Oh, but why can't I? Because so and so, and we know how it was because we were the same way when we were younger. Oh, so and so have this, why can't I? It's even worse now because it's easily accessible, even more so because they're seeing it in real time what these people have, and it's like, oh, this is what they said. So
it's like you literally gotta raise them Amish, and even then, well, it's a minority of them that leave, but shit, the Amish people, they live off.
It's the same thing that I said, I think, a couple weeks back about, we talk about the women overseas, often, and how they are, and they come to America and then they just go buck wild, and it's like, that's what they do.
So let me read this real quick. Hold on, let me see. J. Ali, salute.
What up, buzzing, bird flipping dozen. Holla at your boy, you thought your cousin was.
J. Ali in the building who gets the 1 membership. Whoever got blessed with it, please maintain it. Rock solid, salute my G, good to see you. Appreciate you as always. When I get this message every time I go live. Salute the rock solid, man. Aaron with the $2 says feminism means you adapted to a white woman's mindset. Damn. Caesar's Palace with the $5. Thank you, Caesar, for all the love and support, my G. I appreciate you. Philly was dope. Atlanta was dope. I know I'm gonna see you in DC. Hamp, would Cheeky be right? Since women want evolved men, would house husbands be cool with most ladies now? That would be an evolved man, right?
You,
Man, Callie. Cough up a lung. God damn. Jesus Christ. I hate when I get them hard, that cough like that. Your throat be scratchy in the morning. You know what I mean? So, damn. So, what y'all think about this?
Nah, I don't want no house husband. I'm good. No, I'm good.
A productive house husband, I think,
But-
would be acceptable. There are plenty of women who are the primary breadwinner, and they're, I think there was one example that was given, I think they were the woman was like an anesthesiologist or a phlebotomist or something like that. I don't know, but some kind of in the medical field, and the husband stayed at home and took care of the kids in the house and things like that, and they were, they were fine. So I think a productive house husband was good, but I don't think they're talking about anybody that's just sitting around the sticks like a unproductive housewife would be sitting around watching her stories.
Jalen?
considering if you want them to adapt to the socioeconomic baseline of today, most women are starting to out earn. Not most. There are women that exist that are starting to out earn men. So
I mean, it's so few and far between, though.
yeah, but those women, if you can't find a man that out earned you, you got to start looking
far between.
data wise.
Y'all would want a house husband?
Would I want a house husband?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, whatever makes our marriage work, I don't give a damn.
Nope.
No, I'm being for real. I don't. We'd have to talk off this.
I got you. We'll talk.
Wait, what'd you say, Jalen?
I told her we'll talk.
No. What is it that y'all need to talk about offline?
She wants to know the details of how I would want my marriage structured.
Who cares what you want?
Ooh. Don't do that.
Oh, I know you don't care, Ham. No, you don't care.
But
She asked me though, so
no, but I'm saying who you what do you? So you do want a man who would be open to be house husband, right? You would want him to have this quote unquote evolved ideology, like you on your Tracee Ellis Ross shit.
I never said that.
I'm asking.
I never said that.
I'm asking.
I'm telling you, I never said that.
I know what I'm saying is I'm asking. What do you think about that sentiment?
That sentiment works for her.
No, but I'm saying she dates younger men because they're not as
misogynistic.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. I didn't know that aspect of you, Jalen. So
I didn't say that. But do I like misogyny? No.
Well, I think Tracee Ellis Ross is not right, but she wants what she's saying is she wants a man that she can run over.
Wait. Oh. So if you're not
think that's what she said, but
okay. I'm saying that's what she. Well, they. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take the hyperbole because misogyny is used wrong so often, right? And what she's actually saying is, right, the young boys are open to shit like therapy, as an example, right? So she wants an ideology that women try to qualify as high EQ, right? When the truth is more open to taking her opinion, direction even, right? And her, like Jalen said, that she wants to construct the marriage how she wanted to be. The older guys are too difficult in those ways. Because misogyny wouldn't even make sense. Like, there's no extreme hate for women, but they probably ain't going for the same shit that she's trying to pull. That's what I'm saying, Callie. You think is that more aligned, or you think she's strictly saying they hate women, the older guys?
No, I don't think she's saying that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think she means that. You feel me? So, let me see. Aaron with the $5 says, we act like the men were happy to marry a woman in arranged marriages. Have you ever thought about he wanted a batter B, but he did his duty as a husband? See, his pals with the $10 says, a woman could buy property in the past. It's just that when she got married, the man took all responsibility for her loans and such. She was no longer responsible for bills or credit after marriage. MC Heavy Tits with the $10 says, I've never looked at it like that. But the woman being married off or being treated as property, especially if the woman had no say-so. See, this pals tells Bev looked very nice and professional today. salute.
I'm at peace today. Okay.
What do y'all think? Let me see. Jalen, can you find that clip? Try to find it. But what do you think about Tracee? Let me see if this is it right here.
Okay, well look, Hamp, I gotta bounce. This is a pretty good segue while you looking at segue while you looking for the clip. Sorry, I gotta check out early.
Bye, Callie.
No doubt. Hi, Callie. Be safe.
See y'all in the Discord.
Bye.
So this one right here, right? Let me see. I think I found it. So let me see real quick. All right. You can see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Older. I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a whole person, a full, very old.
Tracee Ellis Ross said,
it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
there's that.
There's that. But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
It's a generational thing, so it didn't matter how you met them, or is it just kind of the guys you're meeting?
That's obviously
too big of a generalization.
It's a generalization, but because I have dated men my age, there is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man around whether it's gender fluidity or not even having an issue with homosexuality. I mean, something as basic as that. There's so many different philosophies on dating, and I have come up with mine. I have come up with what works for me and what makes sense for me and what feels safe for me.
Now, Tracee is getting a lot of hate.
Get the fuck out of here, son. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Huh? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What you think about that?
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I don't know what happened. But
Tracee Ellis Ross happened.
Yeah.
What you think?
A lot was said. I never seen that clip until just now, Hamp. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-mm.
She want a nigga with no boundaries. Ronnie took the. She want to be able to control this shit. She want to be able to set the standards. That's why when Jalen said she got an idea for what she want her marriage to be, that's what that. And I'm sorry, Jalen, but that Tracee Ellis Ross thing popped in my mind. Rebecca, that's the first time I watched it too. I just heard about like what she was saying, but that shit sound crazy. You sound like a dude. She think it's cool that he opened a gender fluidity. What is that? When we know full well, are women dating a man if he had a gay experience? The majority of women?
No.
Come on, man. Come on, Jalen. Come on, man. Come on.
What are you talking to me
Come
for?
on, my G. Come on, beloved.
What are you talking to me for?
Come on, man. What you think about what she said, man?
She sounds like the men that want to date younger women.
Huh?
She sounds like the older men that want to date younger women.
Break it down.
Essentially, the openness part is where I was like, when you have a woman like her, who first of all, she is literally the daughter of Diana Ross, so she started off out the gate more privileged than all of us. Okay, there's that. Then she has an acting career that flourished. She made millions of dollars. She literally could do whatever she wants. She can't psychologically fit herself into a traditional structure. So she's basically had to date younger men because she can't fit in a traditional structure that I guess men her age are wanting to give her.
Or is it that men her age don't want her because of how she thinks?
I don't know. I don't know if older men don't want her or not.
I mean, I know you don't know.
I don't know. Listen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not about to drag her because
no. And
that is literally what my first thought is from what she said.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. What do you think about the men that say they want to date younger women? So they 50, they dating 25-year-olds.
I literally have no thought. It ain't new, Hamp.
I'm asking you what you think about it. Like everybody has an initial thought when they hear it.
My initial thought is it's not a new concept. Older men do that based off of the viability of that younger woman and how they could fit in their life. It's not new.
And you
cool
saying
if that's what they want to do.
Okay. Rebecca, do you have a thought about that?
Is she legal, right?
Mm-hmm. So
okay.
He's 56. She's 19.
She not legal at 19. I mean,
she is.
I mean, she is. But well, she legal, right? That's the only thing I think about. Is she legal? I'm thinking 21 because they switched the age. Anyway, but yeah, no, she legal. People gonna give me flack about it, but
so as long as she's 18 and up, she's legal. You see that as okay.
That's the basic premise of it. Like she's legal.
Okay.
So they see her as a viable candidate. Who am I to question a man?
It's not about questioning. You can't change anything about it. I'm asking about you guys' general sentiment when you see it. Y'all just saying like it is what it is.
If she feels like she has a clear idea of what she is to that man and she likes it and he likes it, yeah, I have no thought. The only thought that comes into play is if it's an unsafe situation. That's it.
What do you mean? What's unsafe about it?
If she's in an unsafe situation, like She was kind of like signs of abuse, essentially.
But anybody can go through that, Jalen, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah, but anybody could go through it, but he acts like that's the only time I would really care.
Yeah. I feel that then.
Oh, you're saying you would take exception with something negative happening between those two, but that's not just young to older. That's just relationships, right?
Yeah, but you asked.
Well, I'm saying I asked about the dynamic. That what you stated goes for all relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, then I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I just heard like when the words groom were used, molded, all that shit. I've seen the majority of women kind of take exception to that verbiage. I just didn't see when Tracee Ellis Ross say this. I didn't see a similar response. It's a different response to the Shannon Sharp shit. Instantly, he's 56 and she's 20, 21. He's a weirdo. Have y'all seen that or no?
Yeah, I remember you talking about it. I haven't seen like and followed it unless I'm hearing it from you all. But she was legal. The whole thing it's manipulative to me on her. Like she's being manipulative to him. That's my standpoint on it. But as far as like him being a creep, I'm just like, no, he's being a man. Like, should he move that way? Probably not, because of obviously everything that is like bestowed upon him. Like, but other than that, it's like,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, y'all take is different take for sure. Than generally speaking, you know. Generally speaking, I've heard people kind of push back at that pretty hard on the panel specifically, and this might be risky as an example. When they wasn't fucking with that dynamic at all. Shit, even Bub, remember Bub emphatically
with large age
like,
gaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's seemingly we wrote kind of Tracee literally saying the same things that like you said, the men say. I've heard a man say, if you messing with a 40-year-old and she acting up, trade her in for 220s. Because of the cooperation aspect, essentially. And so Tracee kind of saying the same thing. I'm just wondering if that, she was hit with those words about grooming and wanting to mold and shit like that. It sounds like she want a nigga that's submissive. That's interesting.
yeah, for her, it just sounds like she's gotten to an age where it's like, well, I'm gonna just go at whatever I can get. If it's this, if it's gender fluidity, if it's this and that, because at this point it's like she's gotten to the age where, most women are settled. They're not, looking or trying to date like that. Most women are settling. So,
yo, that shit. You look at Tracee Ellis Ross, right? You see her, for all intents and purposes, she's an attractive woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said she got a wagon, and you just outside by yourself at 52, talking about what you looking for. That shit, that's nasty work, no? Like, am I tripping?
What about Shannon?
Shannon, what?
So
what about? I started
would you
talking
have
about
the
Tracee.
same?
Why are you talking about Shannon?
No, I'm asking. Would you have the same type of outlook for him?
It doesn't, and I'm saying feel on purpose. It doesn't feel the same. Like it just feels so different. Like when I just look at it on his face, especially, yeah.
I think both both sides are depressing.
Yeah, I guess
Because they both want a marriage, whether they admit it to us or not. They both want to get married.
Yeah.
Or they both want some type of long-term companionship. You got one that got caught up in a scandal that is very I don't even know. And you got the other one who is open to gender fluidity. I think they're both fucking depressing.
No, gender fluidity is diabolical. But Shannon, you know what? I when I see the old heads in the club when I'm DJing, I'm like, I just feel like they just be. I feel when I'm looking at them, I do get a sense of like I feel sorry for this nigga. I ain't gonna lie. Like they be in the club, it'd be a group of 3 of them niggas, and they just be kind of partying, trying to stay up. I just be looking like, damn, son, you should definitely not be here. You know what I'm saying? Just when I look at it on his face, you know. But I think Shannon, see the difference though? Shannon could get a wife. I don't know if she could get a husband. That's the thing. Like I think it's a different ball game. You know what I mean? Like they playing 2 different games.
Shannon could get a wife, but he's opted to be in the like the details of like what she alleged, right?
Not all the way. Go ahead, lay it out real quick.
You chose being with one. You could be with one woman because you're saying he could get a wife. Cool. You chose being with one woman who you could do all that freaky shit too. You opted for somebody who's not your wife. Probably didn't even sign an NDA because she got. Just you ain't protect yourself in the least bit.
Well, they said that she came out, she was tight because he was on tape smashing the other chick. Remember the Instagram shit?
Like I said, he opted for that tumultuous type of thing to happen than just getting a wife. He said he could get a wife.
He opted for options. He didn't know that he's gonna get backdoored. He didn't know that she was on Alien vs. Predator. Emphasis on Predator.
Here's where that shit gets confusing, right? Because I thought y'all didn't trust us. And that's why you opt for options and not marriage.
What you mean?
I thought men aren't opting for marriage because they don't trust us. But you're opting to be with options that you obviously cannot trust either.
He's smashing the joint and the joint backdoored him. We just saying he
right,
dumb.
And you're not expecting that could happen?
Yeah. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? You can't mitigate all the risks out, right? Even the NDA, I mean, how long do they last? How many years, right? And the thing about it is the convenient nature of it. $100 million contract gets announced, and now a $50 million lawsuit.
But you could do all that freaky shit in the confines of a marriage.
Nigga, there's shit that you do with these hoes that you ain't doing to the woman you kissing on the lip.
Bro, how much exploration do you need?
What if your wife or significant other doesn't want to do those things that you want to do?
Why not? Why are you not protecting yourself to mitigate these types of risks happening? Especially when you're signed to a company, like you're not fully outright like on your own. You were signed to a company and you still opted to be with these risky ass women and lose that opportunity. Like it don't make sense to me. But I understand men wanting to have options though. It's just the full picture don't make sense.
I don't know. I don't really. I understand what you're saying. I don't really know what's the overarching point. You saying, oh, because this girl backdoored him, he should have got a wife.
Them options ain't as much as y'all cracked them up to be. They still destroying lives left and right.
The pros and cons are everywhere. He probably just didn't know that was one of the cons.
How do you not know? You're what? How do you not know that?
He wasn't thinking with the big head. Let's just say it that way. Okay.
You got people to hire to do that for you. Whatever.
Yeah,
ahead.
so does,
There must be
listen,
more super chats.
can we be honest? So does the president. And does he always say or do the
Rebecca,
right
these
thing?
men are more logical, right?
Yeah, but you know how many rich men aren't married that you don't.
How is there a
don't
but? Y'all are more logical, period. So how did
yeah,
this not come up
but
in your logical brain?
you're acting like they're gonna get it right 100%.
Yeah,
of the
there's
time.
not, there's
No, of course not.
imperfections.
But if your career is at risk, I would assume you would try to mitigate any risk. But I guess coochie rules trumps all. Fuck it. Why not? I don't
You know, like for instance, everybody's not getting prenups and things of that nature. Generally speaking, I think trust is a hard thing to come by, right? A woman will make an impact on you, which is the case you think you can trust her. Now, there's things that we hold back, you know, that we aren't fully comfortable with, like being super vulnerable. But shit, you share most everything else, right? So you talking shit about him because he got backdoored. You ain't talking about the woman that backdoored him. I'm wondering why. She the grimy one.
Of course,
Because you already said her being 19 don't mean nothing.
Of course, she's grimy for what she did, knowing that it was more than likely consensual what they were doing. However, I don't know what you expected. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I just listening to it. I'm trying to grasp your point, Flu. You saying that he should have been smarter, I guess, essentially, because you know that he knows how grimy women are.
Y'all say y'all do. He said he does.
Well, I guess what you're saying is you're admittedly agreeing because you're saying he should have protected himself because he knows women will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think women are grimy that way too?
When did I ever say we weren't?
I'm asking.
Yeah. Everybody, especially with money in the forefront. Plenty of people will do some grimy shit.
No. Women. That was my question specifically.
Oh, I know. I heard your question. Yeah.
Damn. I heard it here, man. Kiddo said women grimy as a motherfucker.
Yeah, take that hot mic and do something with it.
Hot take.
Hot take, hot mic, tomato.
No, hot mic mean you don't know you talking.
Read the super chats, please.
I mean, I think I had a hot mic one time at the boxing event. I'm like, yeah, you could beat him if you do X, Y, and Z, but I was a ref. I wasn't supposed to say that. Aaron with the $2 says Tracee Ellis equals hero to women. Shannon, creepy pedo. Hakeem with the $2 says she's just like young meat. Why she lying? Onikasu with $2 says women just want control. That's all, heathens. MC Heavy Tits with the $10 says if I see a 50-year-old with a 20-year-old, I assume the 50-year-old is taking advantage. If I see a 30-year-old with a 70-year-old, I assume the 30-year-old is taking advantage. Still low key with the $5 says Shannon shouldn't have been dressed like how was he saying like
a hoe.
Oh,
period.
Yo, man, he got them hip replacements, boy. He can't move, boy. Dr. G was popping. In the chat. Which one? Yeah, you see it? Which one, Dr. G? I don't see it.
Oh, dang, she hit the wrong button again.
Hold on, Dr. G, I'm looking for it. You see it? Miss MC Heavy Tits, your equation is an interesting one, yeah. I understand it though. It resonates.
But even though we say like in certain topics and situations, age doesn't mean anything.
Like what?
Like when it comes to just like kind of like teaching people things or like being able to display emotional intelligence or common sense and things of that nature, everybody loves to say age don't play a factor. But when we're talking about other topics such as this, all of a sudden age has to play a factor. When we literally see this play out all the time, that older people, there are plenty of older people that do not have the fortitude that they should have at their age. And there are younger people that display the fortitude that a 50-year-old should have, or just an older person in general.
Wait, sorry. So, but age always plays. Like, when is it overlooked? Sorry.
In conversations where, like, we have these generational battle conversations all the time about, like, how old niggas are worse off than young niggas and how young niggas know more than the older niggas. Those conversations, all of a sudden, our age doesn't play a factor in the conversation.
Well, I think it does, which is why they're saying old nigga, young nigga, because the age is like the ruling factor, essentially.
Kind of like the stereotypes of what young people should act like versus older people.
Yeah,
we're trying to prove that, we go past those barriers of what the stereotypes try to display us as.
But yeah, I understand, but I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to understand, but quite literally, I think you're articulating that age is always being played, but it's being shit on or being leveraged against people in those conversations.
Maybe that's a better way to structure. Yeah, that's probably a better way to structure that.
Yeah, so it's being employed, right, as a weapon, right, for or against, or the young people talking is you don't know enough because you're young, or your advice is outdated because you old. So it's literally almost always at play, Yeah, I worked out today. Ezekiel. Definitely went a different way with it, But let me just ask y'all this real quick. Do you think that men have not evolved just in a vacuum? And Jalen, specifically what Rebecca said, like, yo, these laws and this civility is holding niggas back. Otherwise, they'll be running amok. Do you believe that?
I don't think they would go to savage tendencies, though.
You don't think so?
No.
How come?
Like, you were just talking, Rebecca, you're talking about if we just went back to, like, explain more what you were saying.
Look what men do, or HAMP. Let me clarify this. Are we just talking about men? Are we talking about humankind?
Men.
Look what happens just on a regular basis, even with rules set. And I'm not talking just America. I'm talking globally. You're talking to somebody also who is on the secret squirrel side of the military. What people do, even when laws are set in place, they still do crazy stuff. But a lot of those people aren't doing crazy stuff because those laws are set in place. That's how I see it. So that's why I also said I'm very biased. So.
I think, yeah. Thank Jay.
I think considering the measurable progress, I think most men have evolved overall. I think the nurture plays more of a part than nature now.
So you think that if it was a lawless land, men would still have self-control?
I think they would still try to find a way to build a civilization to become controlled again. It's kind of like a cyclical thing when it comes to like the this, like when civilizations are destroyed or like things like that. When you look in history, we're immediately trying to get control back and rebuild civilization and get back to whatever normalcy. The culture may be different, but we're still trying to get back to a form of control. It won't always be lawless.
Yeah, right. Because it comes, yeah, to your point, right? That the fact that we have structure comes from men creating it, right?
Right.
So if it went
They saw
lawless,
we needed the structure, they created the structure. That'll always happen, even if we like America topples today. It'll be replaced with something else. We won't always stay lawless.
yeah. And I think you actually see this civility, right, in the people that were here, which is why they got taken over so quickly. You know, like you remember, if you ever read the book called American Holocaust, if you ever get an opportunity, but it talks about when Columbus hit the island of Hispaniola, you know, and how the people gave him blankets, food, and etc. And he bragged about the the murder and the killing he was doing and the raping and pillaging that they were doing, right? And decimated that island along with disease, of course. But those people were living from, I mean, I think the tribes obviously warred, but there was definitely civility. And I think I was looking at it and I knew this beforehand, but you don't see like the taking advantage of the women in those tribes as much as you can research, right? Because a lot of those tribes are gone. Like I've never seen that be a prominent thing, like the women being raped and etc.
The savages were killed, or they were put to. When they finally got structure and order again, those people were dealt with.
Are you talking about the Native American tribes?
Yeah. Were they not dealt with?
What do you mean? But like by who though? Sorry.
Whatever leadership they had in place. I'm just
people
going.
were punished for negative things, but I just like when you look at the tribes, right? And I only know about maybe like 4 tribes in depthly, but I just never see the Native Americans themselves doing that to each other and their women specifically. Now, when you look at things, right, because of everything they've been infiltrated with, Native American women are probably, I think, per capita, they're the most trafficked. Because they don't have protection and things of the nature. But when you look at specific tribes, and I only know about like 3 tribes, like more that I actually looked into, and you just don't see that behavior. You know what I mean? Overwhelmingly, like Sherelle was saying it today, and I was like, but it's so many tribes, so you can't be emphatic about it. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think men generally control themselves overwhelmingly. Because when let's be honest, we talking about sex, right? We talking about taking advantage of women, right? Pillaging and doing all this other shit. I just don't see it going to shit, Rebecca. I think even the populace that commits crimes, like as an example, the prison population is what is it, 600,000 people in total? I think 800,000. The crime populace, it's way smaller than people just day in and day out getting it done. And I think that, contrary to popular opinion, I think Black men love the women they connected to. Like,
Yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say specifically Black men. I don't, even though they're part of the populace, I don't count them as the uninvolved or the unevolved. You know what I mean? I think Black men are very evolved, opposed to what they were, back in the day because of oppression and all those things. I think Black men have definitely evolved, You know, I've seen it with my own eyes, so I can't, you know, say that. But I just meant men in general, if that was the statement. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at it though, like she got a brother, she got a son, she got a like how much raping you think niggas gonna be doing? With her brother standing right there.
Yeah.
Like I just, even everything in place now. In order to take women's rights, you gotta go through other men to do it. Right? Like when you look at men's daughters, right? They say, man, niggas make the most unruly daughters because she already got precedent set by her father in her head, right? There's certain things that she gonna be like, that's not normal. You don't know how to change a tire? That's weird. Right? She gonna have a level of bravado, right? Especially if she around her daddy, and you got to get through those men to deal with those women, even if you don't like their attitude and such, Damn, man. I think Cece made a good point. Women knew their place, so taking advantage of a woman look different between now and then.
Mm-hmm. And HAMP, that was another kind of thing I wanted to touch on as far as we approach things. Like even when I was talking about how back in the day it was a benefit for both, parties, for a man and a woman, even though they were getting married off, the benefit between both of them, we like to approach things with the mindset that we have today. We aren't thinking about how they thought back then. We weren't them. We weren't going through the same things that they were going through back then. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to that, when we think about that, we have to think outside of ourselves and be like, maybe they also seen it as a benefit. They were getting out of their parents' house. That was, that's bare minimum for us. But for them, they were like, whew, I'm no longer under my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how I'm also looking at it. Like, yeah, I understand where Callie's coming from because of what we have the mindset of today when it comes to like the whole property aspect and what it looks like. Mm-hmm. But back then we have to take ourselves out and be like, okay, I could see what was the, standard. What were they taught back then? They were taught how to be, take care of the house, take care of the kids. They were taught those things. They were instilled with those things to prepare them to be a wife. That was what they were taught back then. That's not something, I'm not saying we don't teach our children that, but that's not something that's not our first go-to with our children, with our daughters, is to be like, I'm gonna teach you how to be a wife. We don't do that. So that's how I'm like, taking myself out of it. I understand where Callie's coming from, but that was a benefit on both parties.
Yeah. On that premise, do you think a man who's more feminine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he evolving or devolving, if that's even a word?
You said on that premise, say that one more time. Sorry, broke up a little bit.
Like a woman who maybe hasn't been taught to be a wife, right? And she gets on the earth. Mm-hmm. Is she progressing or regression? Like, is she further ahead or further behind if she doesn't understand those duties?
She's behind if the goal is marriage. If she's seeking or being sought at as a wife and a man is looking at her and seeing her demeanor, but then notices different things inside of her, if she doesn't have those certain things instilled in her, it's questionable if she's going to meet her goal as being a wife, because her benefits or what she's thinking might be a benefit of a wife wouldn't be the same as what the mentality was back then when they're being taught how to be a wife, because those things were instilled in her.
Yeah, and Rebecca, I think it's disingenuous when women are running around saying marriage is not the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's overwhelmingly cap. So
I do too. Yeah, I do too.
It would be considered evolving
if she didn't know how to be a wife.
No, but before you gave that, the original question, it would be considered evolving
Oh,
because
sorry, just so they understand what we're talking about. The effeminate man. He would be what?
evolving.
Is
Because
evolving?
evolution isn't really a positive or a negative. It's not. There's no like. It's kind of neutral when you speak about evolution. So, any type of change that adapts to the environment is evolution. So, per that, he evolved to adapt to what today is today's environment.
But he weakens himself. That's still evolution.
But look at the social climate that we're in. He's adapting to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's considered evolution.
Is it or is it adapting? Those are two different words to me. So that's something that I would be
Evolution
confused
is,
about.
yeah, so evolution is basically referring to how species adapt to their environment over time.
So how they move forward is evolving.
It's not always moving forward. Sometimes they may keep traits that they've had for centuries. Sometimes they may create new traits.
But they are still moving forward because that is the definition of evolving, is moving forward
Yeah,
regardless of the traits that they keep.
yeah, it could be.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a positive or a negative moving forward. It's just whatever helps you adapt.
Damn, I think it's almost like if a nigga gotta become weaker. It's like a mutation.
Yeah, I think the word evolve
A perversion.
in that aspect may need to not be the word. Adapt, though, like you said, I think is a great word for that because they are adapting. I'm not in agreement completely with the feminine man because that needs to be pulled apart for me.
What part?
The feminine man.
What you mean pulled apart? Like what?
Like, what does that mean?
Effeminate?
A feminine man.
So I said effeminate, but
Oh, effeminate. Okay.
feminine man, like the man who adapts based on the climate, as an example, and starts to acquiesce to the things that Tracee Ellis Ross is asking for, and thinking gender fluidity is something that he should consider to be okay, and transgenderism and all the other things that make a country as a whole weak as fuck.
That sounds like that sounds like a preference, Hamp. I'm not in agreement with that. No.
Damn. I don't know. Yeah. That's what Aaron was saying, Jalen, earlier. Evolution is a process to not just survive but also thrive, right? To take advantage of the environment and become better, so you can beat the competition.
Yeah, so by that logic, what that effeminate man is doing is evolution.
No, because you know why? Because the overwhelming majority of women, when we had a panel, said they want what? Thug adjacent.
Okay, but if he bags a Tracee Ellis Ross,
He lost because he has to get on her game plan.
You know,
the leader becomes the follower.
Most men would see that as a loss, sure, but I'm pretty sure the effeminate man will not. So, but evolution. This is why you shouldn't try and change the definition of some things. Evolution is literally what that is. Don't try to like make it positive or negative.
So,
are effeminate men not good for the? Sure, yes, but if you're saying that, if you're asking if they have evolved, they have.
No.
Okay.
Well, because to be weaker, right? That man for a man to be effeminate, right? His abilities are weaker, right? He's lesser. He's less of what he is, right? Him acquiescing to an environment is not evolution.
Him taking on traits that don't help him survive in that environment is not evolution.
No,
What
it's
is it?
well because it's not helping him survive, right? He's acquiescing. You see what I'm saying? He's not getting anything extra. He's losing. You know, he's not winning because women say they want what?
Sugar Jason.
But yeah. Okay.
Somebody that's gonna protect.
Yeah, so women aren't saying they want that prototype.
Jalen, we weren't the ones saying that we was gonna fight the gorilla. We don't need 100 women to fight the gorilla. Remember that.
Hey, he don't agree. He don't agree.
Well, it's not about agreeing, right? What you're saying just isn't accurate.
It is.
If it was accurate, then I would agree, but it's not. You know, because he's not getting anything. He's not winning against his competition. He's losing, right? Because he's not in his natural role, natural state. You know, he's acquiescing to fit the parameters of the follower. That wouldn't be right gaining an advantage.
Does evolution involve adaptation?
Yeah.
Okay. So per that,
Okay, what though?
that man is adapting to the environment, that our societal environment that is more progressive in ideology more than ever. And
What?
there are like he's evolved. That's literally it.
No.
You adding the winning
Yeah.
thing doesn't matter to me. He evolved.
Jalen, I know you don't have any children, correct?
Nope.
All right. So me as a mother, imagine being a mother and you're adapting to motherhood, right? And you're just here. You're not doing those little intricacies, taking care, making sure they know certain things, but you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you evolved as a mother? Or have you adapted as a mother? Because you adapted as a mother doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing the things that you need to do.
Yeah, she evolved. It's not positive or negative. It is a change, an adaptation.
But my kids are going to lack because they're going to be deficient in the things that I'm not teaching them.
I agree.
So, okay, so have I evolved and adapted? Yes, I have done those things. But does that necessarily... It does have to deal with a positive and negative because it deals with the effect of the outcome of things, regardless of what, we want to be like, it's not a positive or negative, but what is the outcome? Is it going to help or is it going to hurt?
If that's the conversation, it will hurt. But has she evolved? Yes. That will not change.
No. So I think she just simply, Jalen is ignoring this and ignoring the fact that evolution is improvement, right? Because you have devolved. So if a man is effeminate, acquiescent, relinquishes his role that he's supposed to be playing, right? He's lesser than. Evolution doesn't relate to lesser than. Devolution, right? Devolving is lesser than. So he's lesser than what he was. So quite literally, he has devolved. He hasn't evolved, right? Because synonyms of evolution are improvement, as an example. So you can't say improvement is adapting and making yourself lesser than. That wouldn't make sense.
It's not always about improvement. It's literally about change and adapting.
No, it is about improvement, right? So the organism, right, is simple, and then it becomes more complex. It can do more things, right? So war, as an example, was what swords and knives, right? Mm-hmm. And then the evolution of war, right, is now what is it, drones and shit like that.
So I can't agree with you that a synonym for evolution is improvement, but we're gonna be at a stalemate. I'm gonna just be honest, we're gonna be at a stalemate.
All right. Is it advancement? Would the advancement be a synonym or no?
Yeah.
Okay. And a man becoming more effeminate, he's advanced in your opinion?
It's progress. Yeah. Advancement. Yeah.
Okay. So a man so it goes against his natural proclivity, but because in this society he's what exactly, I guess, right? Because he's not preferred by the women, he's not respected by the men. What has he gained, I guess? You know what I'm saying? Like, what has he advanced?
I may be wrong on this, but I think you said before that kind of like gay people or just people in that group essentially have become kind of like a protected class of people, right? They have some sort of quote unquote privilege, or at least I've heard that argued here.
Okay.
So if that is the case,
what?
Yes, he's evolved.
No.
Protect himself.
That means absolutely nothing.
If you say so.
Well, I mean, I don't even understand the correlation, to be 100% honest.
If he is gay, and being gay is kind of like a protected class of people, they have privilege, they have say in how society is supposed to run, even though we majority of people may not agree with that wholeheartedly. He's adapted to the environment to be able to be a part of that protected class and have privilege. You don't consider that evolving?
No.
Then we're at a stalemate.
Well, no, it's just a protected class, right? I think I don't know if that just determines if he's evolved, you know. So I think so by proxy, what you're saying, right? If a man is effeminate, do you think homosexual men are more evolved than heterosexual men?
Because he's gay?
Well, he'd be effeminate in that aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying all, but
There's
just because
feminine straight men, but
the assumption is that a gay man is more effeminate. You see what I'm saying? Not to say all fit an archetype.
Yeah.
You know, but you're saying that homosexual men, by proxy, being more effeminate because of the climate, they're more evolved.
If you're gonna measure it based off of their sexuality right now.
No. Listen to what I said, right?
No, I'm saying because if I answer yes, I'm answering based off of the fact that the measurable thing is their sexuality.
No. So
nothing else.
What it is, right? When you see, because we were talking about effeminate initially, right? And you're saying the effeminate men are more evolved because they have adapted to this climate, right?
Right.
So the assumption, and I think it's a safe one, and I think we would all agree that gay men are more likely to be effeminate than straight men.
Okay.
Right. So if you took 100 gay men and 100 straight men, the effeminate men would be overwhelmingly more on the gay side. Is that a safe assumption?
Sure, based off of that measurement, that's a safe assumption to have.
So we're talking about effeminate, right? So by proxy, would gay men be more evolved than straight men?
By that, yeah. Again, this is gonna be taken the wrong way. Yeah.
I didn't even respond, really.
No, I'm not talking about you. Like,
no, I just because Jay, I think because then what is devolving, right? So if evolving is basically neutral, then what is the need for devolving? You see what I mean? Like just in terms of grammar, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't even exist. If to devolve, evolve, you wouldn't even have the antonym if evolve was neutral and it was just a matter of adaptation. You know? Just in terms of grammar, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Not trying to corner you, but just in terms of just straight grammar, you know?
Yeah, devolve, like degenerate, fall apart, makes it. Yeah, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thing, right? Because I catch your drift, you know, but you can adapt the wrong way, right? You can actually acquiesce to things that make you weaker, that put you at a deficit, right? Which would be devolving by proxy, and therefore evolving would just be the opposite end. But I think I understand what you're saying, you know.
But that just means
Dre,
like,
what's popping? How you doing?
Good.
You can hear me okay? I'm gonna get you in just a second. I just we just talking about, I don't know if you've been listening, but am I so this is weird to me, right? Am I being biased?
Sorry, I don't have
no,
one.
you gotta bring Lee up. We just have a
I thought we just talking through it, but you can say if I'm being biased or not. I'm trying to understand what I'm not trying to understand.
I don't think you being biased. I just
so
go ahead.
Jay is thinking in a different sense than you are.
Mm-hmm.
To say that you're being biased would also be calling me biased as well, because I agree with you. And I think what Jalen is coming from a general sense of evolving, you know, she's not thinking, like she said, she's not thinking positive, negative. It's about just evolving, whether it's a positive or a negative, it's still evolving regardless.
Yeah.
And she's kind of letting the buck stop there. But we're like, okay, but is it progressive or regressive when it comes to society? That's where we're moving that. And I think she's just stopping it there as a general, as far as, if I'm correct, Jayla, I don't want to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just saying that it doesn't stop there, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I think that's why you have the antonym, right? To where you can say, okay, something that's lessening, like it's what's it, like biological traits, right? Or, you know, kind of, what's it called when people like not stifle, but they kind of like push something down so it's not, I can't think of the word I'm thinking for, because I don't even understand what there is to be biased about, right? We just looking at terminology essentially, right? And how it applies. So if you're lesser than what you should be to fit into the construct that you live in, right? But you lessen yourself, then it would just be a devolve. That's what I was thinking, essentially, you know?
So devolving doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, suppressed. Thank you, Devin. Go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. And I'll stop here because it's probably getting boring. But devolving is essentially,
you talk
like,
slow, so
like I said, it's probably boring. Fuck, like I took accountability. Anyway, devolving is essentially you reverting back to like a primitive state. So what Rebecca was stating regarding men going back to their natural ways, that would be devolving. Not like what you were trying to say that what did you say the definition was devolving from your perspective?
like lesser than what
Yeah.
you naturally are. So like primitively, right? The assumption about men would be they protect and provide, right? Like hunter gatherer, right? So being that, he's gonna be that regardless.
Yeah, so I can't say that an effeminate man is devolving, unless you're saying that that's them reverting back to.
Well, no, that's the thing. The baseline is protect and provide, right? So if a man can't maintain that baseline, he's lesser than. A feminine man would be less likely, the assumption, to be a protector, right? Just in terms of us just trying to get through the conversation, you know. So he would be a devolved man because he'd be lesser than what he should be, essentially.
I get what you're saying.
It's interesting, though. It's interesting. For sure. Dre, what's popping? You on mute. You on mute, Dre. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. How's it going?
Good. How are you? How is everybody on the panel?
Doing good. What's shaking?
So, yeah, I didn't know y'all was going to do this topic. Very interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess I want to just say towards the topic, when I had spoke on men not evolving. So to be technical, men have evolved in some ways and they haven't evolved in some ways.
Break them down.
Yeah, so when I speak on men not evolving, I think I particularly mean the fact that there's still a need for feminism. And I do believe there's still a need for women who would like to coexist with men, I guess I should say, because women could go the incel route and not deal with men at all. But then to some certain extent, you would still have to deal with men on your everyday, just out. So I would say it's still needed. DV rates are high. Divorce rates are high.
And so, Trey, just so I'm clear, you're relating those to men being not evolving, those two things?
Correct. That I'm relating that to men not evolving. And that's like on a mental and emotional level.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So divorce rates are high, domestic violence is high, ongoing beef, on and off line. A lot of that is like misunderstandings and, on and on and on. And I feel like it's kind of the same argument. If you go back to okay, so yes, first wave feminism, they fought for tangible rights, right? So that was a part of it, but we're still fighting for the same thing that women fought for then, as far as dealing with men emotionally, physically, spiritually. I feel like men have not evolved in that way at all. Like, the hatred, the jealousy.
Jealousy? Break down the jealousy aspect, if you don't mind.
Well, actually, it may. I'm not sure if it's. I don't want to say for sure it's worse, but I've been watching, and the DV rates are increasing actually. So, now it's a thing where women are making their own money and they have their own tangibles, right? So that can't be stopped or suppressed. So then that is making men feel away. Obviously, because, before they could control us because we didn't have those tangibles. We couldn't go get our own home. We didn't have our own bank account. We couldn't go vote, on and on. So now it's like, okay, there's no power anymore. There's no control anymore. And I feel like that's where it's somewhat getting worse with dealing with men. And then on the other spectrum, I just see that we're still fighting for the same thing, like the same basic human respect. Like, why will we still be fighting for the same human respect that women fought for in the 1900s? You can't really say that there's evolution there.
Okay, so a couple questions. So the DV rates as an example, the most domestic violence cases are found among some lesbian relationships.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not a lesbian. I'm not really speaking on the LGBTQ community.
No.
Well, no, I guess if you want to, but I can't really speak on them. I've never been with a woman romantically.
100%. But just in terms of the statistics, right? They have the most reported cases of domestic violence, and that's amongst two women. What do you think that does to the premise? Anything?
No, it doesn't at all, because I mean, I'm not LGBTQ. I'm not pro LGBTQ. I'm not against them. I respect them. They are to be respected. They are human. They have rights. I have nothing against them at all. I'm not saying that I'm pro LGBTQ. So then that kind of does nothing for the point.
Okay. And then what do you think
it's
about?
Not something I would encourage for my kids, or I guess if that's what you're asking. So, okay. I mean, I'm sure they have problems, and
Well, no, 100%. I guess I'm just looking at the fact that it's two women committing the most domestic violence against one another.
Yeah, but is that well, anyway, can we move on to the next topic? I don't want to.
Well, no, you don't have to talk about them specifically. What it mostly is
because
I'm
sure there's LGBTQ people in here, and I don't want to offend anyone, so I don't want to.
No, we just got Rainbow Kid. He's fine. So
yeah, I don't want to be offensive. So
yeah, it won't be offensive to them. But what I guess what I'm asking you to assess is two women are whooping each other's asses more than a man and a woman, but the men are allegedly not involved. You see what I'm saying? That's the part I was trying to get you catch your drift on.
But I don't also agree that they're supposed to be together. So.
Oh, you're saying because it's unnatural? That's probably why they're whooping each other's ass.
No, well, I'm not. Okay, no. No.
All right, so let me ask you this.
I'm off of here.
Nah, let me ask you this one.
To set me up.
No, it's good. We talk like this all the time. So let me ask you this one, right?
Next topic, please.
What do you think? Yeah, we good on that one. Now, what do you think about pursuant to Johns Hopkins? DV, domestic violence, has declined by almost 60%. From 93 to DV rates.
Yeah, DV. You said it declined.
Yeah, by like almost 70% from 1993 to 2023.
93 to 2023.
Yeah, so
has
30 years. Pursuant to Johns Hopkins University study.
That's good to know. I could always be wrong.
Yeah, it is not even about you being wrong. I just give you the info to see what you think about men's progress.
No, because I could be wrong about it. I do see a lot of things, and I'm like, that would be good. I mean, that's a good thing, definitely. If DV actually went down, then that is a good thing. That is evolution. Now I'll go back and check some things. If I don't know how long this will go on, or this debate, but I'll go back and check some things and come back with that. But from what I've seen, even like in the Black sector, it's 4 times. I mean, well, you could be right if you're speaking on men. You could be right, but I'm reading like the domestic violence is high for Black women. It's 4 times the rate. I don't like the fact it's 4 times the rate of any other race of women. It's we're more susceptible. We're more susceptible to no conviction, all types of stuff. So
what you mean? Sorry, break it down for me. No conviction.
Sorry, like the perpetrator would never be convicted, or like a lot of times Black women are hurt or killed or whatever, and the person gets off.
Now, what were you? Okay, I catch your drift.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to one of the other points, if you don't mind. You were saying divorce rates. That speaks to men being less evolved or not evolved.
Yes.
In what way?
Because women initiate most of the divorces for so many reasons. Married or not married, because signing the paper doesn't technically change the dynamic of the relationship. So any woman, married, not married, long relationship, whatever, can attest to the types of things that you have to deal with living with men, or coexisting with men in a romantic space. And there's no evolution there. Like I said, it's the same argument that it was for like my grandmother.
What you mean?
Things like, for example, what can I say? That's something easy, an easy example. men saying that they're more logical than women, men saying that they're smarter than, like, stuff like that, like that could have never ever been true ever in life.
Logical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the results don't result. I don't see how men claim that they're more logical. The results do not prove that at all, ever.
Break it down.
And
What
it's
results?
like, how do you, like, so that, I don't know, to me that was clearly a sexist thing to say out of jealousy.
Okay. So now, in terms of divorce and marriage, what would you say that black men are 8% more married than black women?
Men are the ones that pursue marriage. They're the ones that ask. They're the ones that, if women pursue marriage, then we would be way more married than men. Duh.
Yeah. Dre, there's one thing I always say: if your aunt had a dick, she'd be your uncle.
Huh?
If your aunt had a dick, she'd be your uncle. I just
If
mean that
what?
if your aunt had a dick, she'd be your uncle. I'm just basically, you know how people say if was a fifth, right? So
yeah, I mean, just because men pursue marriage, so of course they would. They're the ones that ask.
So
and go through with the, I mean, the woman obviously can have, we have a choice to say yes or no, but I'm saying yes because men are the ones who literally wait for the man to ask.
But okay, understood. So now we're more married, right, than the women.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you do with that statistic, right? And what do you think?
Men ask for nothing. I don't think anything of it.
Okay. So then what's the divorce stat that you were saying made when men not evolved? What was how were you breaking that down?
My opinion is that men haven't evolved. That is why there is high divorce rates, and women are like, I can't take it any longer, and they're leaving the deal.
Oh, you're saying women initiate 70% because they sick of these niggas shit.
Most of the divorces
because men aren't evolved and they dealing with bullshit.
They are not evolving. Yes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So there's one thing when we discussed this divorce stat, because it's 70% initiated by women.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
And there's a thing that I do always say, right? So I have kids. I have one son, right? And he never tells on anybody. He's always the one getting told on because he's always the one hitting somebody or pushing somebody over. And so when we look at the divorce stat, I usually say, well, the culprit usually ain't doing the telling, so maybe that's why the women are initiating as we mind it out. Like I try to introduce that to see what so I understand what you're saying by that. Women sick of it because the men aren't evolved, so they're
not evolving. Like, men will just be in a relationship, and no matter what you do or say, they'll still go on and pretend like there's no issue, and to the point where the woman is like, yeah, I'm done with this shit.
Now, Dre, let me ask you a question. The rebut is that women are predicating being married or not on how happy they are, and whenever they're not getting what they want, they tend to leave. That would sound like a person who is not evolved. That's like childish. What do you think about that sentiment?
Somewhat, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Somewhat, yeah. Like, we can keep it
So out of that 70% initiation, which one you think she acting like a baby, and which one you think he ain't evolved enough? Like, what percentage out of that 70%?
I don't know, really. I do get what you're saying. There's some legit crybabies. But I think that's really on a lower end because I read a lot of women, from women, and I'm not saying there's one side to the story. I obviously know there's three sides. I obviously know that's their side, I'm able to assess that. But I read a lot of women, they're leaving marriages after 30, 40, 50 years. Like, you cannot tell me that's a crybaby. That's somebody that really kept taking the blows. Like, that's somebody that really was like, baby, we in this. Like, I ain't never been with nobody 30 years.
No,
ever in my life. Like,
yeah, you can't call her.
Like that, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't call her a crybaby after 30 years. Right?
No.
So
That's disrespectful.
All right, so let me ask you a question, right? Because like this might be risky. We usually don't use some, and you're doing a pretty good job answering, right? So let's say 100 women leave. Out of that 100, how many were crybabies and how many left because the man wasn't shit?
I mean, I don't know. I would
Just
say
speculative. We understand you speculating.
Majority left legitimately versus the crybaby. I would say okay, you said out of 10 or 100.
Yeah,
so
10
I
100, man.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You said 100?
Yeah.
100 women. Okay, so I would say a good 70 left legitimately.
Because that nigga wasn't involved.
Yeah. And and then there's gonna be the stragglers. They just whatever, they just unhappy. So nothing's gonna change that. There's definitely women like that. But I'm willing to say, because first of all, let's be honest, if look at the details. If a woman leaves a man after 30, 40 years, you could have just stayed comfortable. Nobody, who's going to do that? That literally means that you got shredded up in a blender and you couldn't take it anymore. Because after that long, you might as well just stay and sit and lay your ass in the other room.
After 30 years.
Yeah. That is that's a huge chunk of your life. Like, that's past raising kids and them being grown. Now they done had kids. So
okay.
I'm just saying, like, that though, like, you have to look at, some of the details of the relationship. And when I see things like that, like, that's just after 20, 30 years, I don't think that's fair to call a woman a crybaby. I will say there was just things in a relationship and it just something, and I'm not going to say that, I also said the 30 women could be crybabies and could be the problem. There's some women who cause the divorce. There's women who cheat. There's women who, emotionally messed up, can't get it together, whatever.
And that's that 30%.
But again, I view it, I do believe it's on the lower end. And majority of women truly try, because that's how women are naturally. It's in our nature to be able to bear pain or to be able to take certain things. So, truly, like, yeah, if she's a Gen Z, if she's not Gen Z, usually women try and they take a lot of crap.
Okay.
But I will say, when you listen to men too, like, if you listen to men talk, I will say it seems like at times men are not aware. Well, they are aware, but certain things y'all are not aware that that's disrespect, or maybe you're playing that you don't know, but it's certain things that men subconsciously act like they're not aware that could bother a woman. So that could be part of it as well.
Okay.
And
But you're saying,
sorry.
But you're essentially saying, though, all the things you named, that's that 30%. The 70 is the man was on bullshit.
I would say so. I haven't done a poll, but
no, I ain't I ain't gonna bring no numbers up. I just because I asked you that on his face. Okay. So now what do you think? Let me ask you this question. Salute to Jalen, Aaron in the building, of course, Rebecca. So this part, right? Drea. So what do you think about men? If the world wasn't civilized, you think men would be trying to take advantage of women and running amok?
Yeah.
Why? Well,
they already do with laws. So the other men who are a little bit more, or they the other men who are, well, what should I say, a little bit more civilized or don't want to break the law, they are containing themselves because of the law. But if there was no law, then why not?
So there's one point you made, I want you to expound on it if you don't mind. The fact that, remember we were saying that men and women in mass overwhelmingly can't be friends, and you were saying that's because men aren't evolved, because everything boils down to sex.
Yes.
You want to expound on that?
Yes. Men refuse to put in the work on themselves. they refuse to evolve mentally to where there's hard stops sexually. There should be women who you don't want to fuck. There should be women who you feel like that's weird, that's off limit. Like men don't think like that, and that's crazy. You're a human. What separates you from a wild animal? I mean, we are of the food chain and the animal species, but what separates us is our ability to reason. So I don't understand, when are men going to start reasoning? Because it doesn't seem like that's there. The same reason why men blame everything sexually on a woman, as if we have guns to your head and telling you to pull out your dick. Like, you have total control of that situation sexually.
Go ahead, Jalen.
So do you think men have better reasoning? Is that what you said? Or they don't?
No. I'm saying men don't use their reasoning. So what would separate them from a wild animal? Because that's what separates humans from wild animals, reasoning.
Damn.
Do you think part of their natural baseline is like structure and order, or no?
Yes.
Like, do they try to?
Yeah, okay. A man who's done the work, and it would take a long time. Yeah, they are of order and structure, and they have that discipline, and they're not immortal, and they're not wild beasts, and they do reason. Absolutely.
Okay, so someone who hasn't done that work, their primitive baseline is savagery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these generalizations are very damaging. I'm gonna just be honest.
Oh, well, they are generalization. They are in.
Yeah, no, I
in
know.
general.
I know.
I'm not speaking about anybody personally.
Yeah,
or
Andrea,
no, I know.
I'm
not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but Jalen, just go ahead and say what you're gonna say. You don't got to preface, right? We understand that generalizations, we have to do them to have the conversation. We understand that Drea ain't saying all. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't say she was saying all. I'm just saying, when we talk about primitive states, I don't think their primitive state is savagery. So
that's fine. We could agree to disagree. I talk to men I talk to men on a level where men will honestly tell you the truth if you don't judge them. And they'll tell you that they're savage. They'll tell you that's a part of their dark side. Men have written books on it. You can go to the information is out there if you want it.
So men are savage at their core.
Or I can say humans are savage.
But we're talking about men.
If you want to be technical.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Absolutely.
But you think men are more savage than women?
Yeah, of course, by nature.
I got you, Aaron. Ezekiel Ben Israel with the $5 says, so Americans in mass are overweight due to evolution?
Americans are overweight due to corporation greed, due to CEO effery, no protection from our FDA. Yeah. They can sell you.
Don't worry about it, Dre. Wait. Yeah, he good. These are super chat. I'm just reading them.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
He's good. He got an answer though.
Yo, I think this is my first panel. Please don't.
Nah, you're doing good. He's actually.
Why I start answering the question? Oh my god.
No, he's actually being a little bit facetious because Jalen and I were discussing something earlier. So
yeah.
Still, keep it at 10 ounces. Jalen is right. Technically, the men are changing for more success with women, or at least what women groom men to be. Like a mother raising a son to be nothing like a dad that bagged her. Yeah, still low-key. I would agree if that were the case. I think what we were arguing was effeminate, right? And remember when we talked to the women specifically, the majority of the women, if we extrapolate their opinion to women in mass, wanted men who were thug adjacent, which would be opposite of effeminate. So I think that's why. But it was good. Miss Val, what's up? She said hello to everyone. Miss Val, you're a little late now. You know what I mean? Jonathan with the $10 says, I blame you, Hamp. Shaking my head. What else is new, John? Jonathan with the $5 says, I'm gonna say it for the chat.
What did I say? That was some BS, Jonathan.
Hold on, Dre. Hold on. All right, let me read. This is how I do it. Dre. I'm gonna read it and then I'm gonna ask you a question. Well, you'll see.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it for the chat. I'm gonna blame Rebecca and Jay for letting Drea say some
Rebecca,
bullshit.
why you laughing?
So Drea, you want to respond to this? Drea having too much fun. You want to respond to this, Drea?
Yeah. No, I wanted to say, Jonathan, step on up. What BS did I say?
Drea, respectfully, a lot.
Ooh, he put some money on it too. Jonathan was serious with me.
Still low key with the 2000. Drea really needs to hear men's side of the story.
All right, still low key. What's your side of the story?
Aaron with the $2 says Rebecca holding and giggles to Drea bullshit.
Aaron. Yes,
Aaron.
Rebecca agrees with my BS. Let's get into it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
We almost there, Drea. We almost there. I'm gonna let Rebecca reply.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute. You want me mute?
No, you good. Ezekiel Israel with the $5 says after 30 years, we locked in forever.
Exactly, Ezekiel. Exactly.
Oh, he said to death. I'm sorry.
After 30, this is a Death Row Records deal.
Aaron with the $2 says George W. Bush. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Subscribe, tell a friend, hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So y'all want to do Rebecca, do you want to reply or you want Aaron to jump in since he just got Aaron? What you think?
Aaron, you good? Go ahead. You can jump in, Aaron.
Oh man, there's so much. I don't know where to start. I mean, this is a target-rich conversation. I guess we'll go from the beginning. Evolution is a process of growth and improvement. So Jalen, do you trust the Merriam-Webster dictionary?
Do I trust the Merriam-Webster dictionary? Yeah.
Okay. Are you interested in reading the definition?
Sure, Aaron.
Okay. All right. Excellent. I mean, and I'm going to present this because it's difficult to have a conversation without a clear definition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you do this? Oh, share screen. There we go. What the hell? My apologies, y'all. This is.
What you trying to pull up?
Okay, hit present.
You trying to pull up Merriam-Webster
evolution. There we go. It's there. Is it showing up?
Yeah, it's loading.
All right. So definition, the second definition, C, a process of continuous change from a lower, simpler, or worse to a higher, more complex, or better state, growth. Unfolding, the process of change in a certain direction, not arbitrary direction. Descent with modification from pre-existing species, cumulative inherited change in a population of organisms, through time leading to the appearance of new forms, the process by which new species or populations of living things develop from pre-existing forms through successive generations. So it's inherited, it's long-lasting, over a long period of time, and with the aim of improving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having defined evolution, Drea, you don't think men have evolved because they're savage in nature. I don't know if you saw the show earlier, but so when people say men are savage in nature.
Wait,
I
didn't say that.
Could you clarify when you
I didn't say that. I didn't say that sentence that men are not evolving because they're savage. That's not
okay. I'm willing to be corrected. What did you say?
Well, initially I said men weren't evolving spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Those were the main my main talking points from the other night.
Okay, so spiritual evolution is extremely difficult to measure,
Yeah.
and would be largely considered a subjective appraisal. Emotional evolution, however, I think isn't necessarily measurable, but we have evidence of it in the way that society has advanced, with lawmaking, with ethics being developed and adhered to. There's a great sense of empathy, consideration, and just overall reverence for others that men have evolved into, that galvanized us to create the laws that we do, and the ethics that we do, and the etiquettes that we do. And chivalry in and of itself is a sign of emotional evolution. We're now more concerned with things that really will never benefit us for the sake of being concerned for. Did you freeze? Did I freeze?
No, he did.
I'm here. Okay, I see it.
Oh.
It came back.
And well, Drea did say men lack reasoning,
right.
Which makes them animalistic, because animals don't reason, people do.
Understood. Yeah. So men don't lack reasoning. Men are reasoning rich. And when people say men are more logical than women and women are more emotional, I think that's a misnomer. Men have a greater propensity to be led by logic. Their decisions are predicated on logic. Women tend to be led by emotions. So there's evidence of that in women relying on their emotional sophistication to do their job. When a baby is born, it cannot communicate through using language. It communicates through emotional responses. And it learns from the mother through her emotional responses to what the baby does. So right there, the mother has to be more emotionally expressive and sophisticated. She has to have a diversity of emotions, and she has to readily attach the appropriate emotion to the event to achieve the outcome. Men, however, are responsible for, and this is from an evolutionary perspective, responsible for the construction of shelters, domiciles, the pursuit of prey, food, things like that, and chasing away animals that are dangerous that will attack us and kill us. Now, we have no shot with a bear or a mountain lion, but if we deploy a coordinated effort, we can chase a buffalo off a cliff, drag his ass back, and prevent the mountain lion from eating my wife and child. That actually requires emotions to be put aside so that you can employ strategy. You can't be emotional because it will cloud your sense of judgment, and it will cloud your ability to operate as a team and leverage your strengths to mitigate your weaknesses against something that would otherwise defeat you.
Absolutely.
Also, with building structures and things, there needs to be a sense of logic because you want to do this efficiently. You can't get upset that this thing fell down and cease building. You have to figure it out and figure out where you went wrong and employ a different technique to get this thing built, because it's going to rain and get cold in a few months and we're going to die if I don't build this house. So there's a deep sense of logic that just kind of drive men. If you look at men from the beginning, when boys grow up, they gravitate to games that have rules, establish positions, roles, and jobs, and have a specific outcome. Women, little girls like to play house, doctor. There's these social things where there's no real goal, but it's a chance for everybody to get together and communicate and express with one another. Now, girls do play hopscotch and things like that, right? Now, there is a nature to them, and that's a survival mechanism, but it's not nearly as strong as boys. Boys want to score something. How do we figure out who's going to be the quarterback in this game called football we created? Well, let's throw this rock over there. Whoever gets closest to it, that's quarterback. Who's going to catch the ball? Let's have a foot race. Who's going to block to protect the ball carrier? Well, let's fight. Let's wrestle. Strongest man's alignment, right? And so that sense of order, and that's just in recreational learning.
I don't
order
agree
indicates
there.
logic.
I don't agree there. I think it's kind of forced on girls. I think that role is forced on us because we like to do the same things when we're young.
No. But the propensity. So I'm not speaking in absolutes. Yes.
Well, no, I
absolutely.
know, but I'm saying I think that's more pushed on girls socially. But
so okay, I don't
because I don't
so.
see a difference. Have you ever worked in education or?
Well, I have a daughter, 2 sons,
Well, yeah.
and my wife works in mental health, and I worked with her in mental health for a while. She has a degree in behavioral health, so no, not necessarily education. And I'm not purporting to be an authority in psychology, but I have an understanding on how the mind works and a background.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I just see it as there's some things that are socially pushed on girls in youth, but go ahead. I don't want to go off focus.
You're not wrong. Okay. But I think it's that way. I think it's
because y'all don't want us to end up being boys.
Well, no, that would mean you would have, in order for that to happen, you would have to evolve in that direction.
Yeah.
We don't care about wanting you to be boys because we know you can't be. It would annoy us.
Yeah.
We're not worried about it.
Or y'all don't want us to. I think it's done that way so that we have that role because you have the other role.
Yes, right. It's to
you get what I'm saying, but I don't know if that's natural to girls because a lot of girls don't feel that way.
So you just said it. There's the proof right there. You're saying they don't feel that way. But what I'm saying is the reason why that happens.
Oh, yes.
We have a limited resource, a very finite resource called time. Yes. We don't have a lot of it. We can't waste it. So whatever we do from the womb to the tomb, we have to ensure that we're efficient with preparing ourselves to do the job of contributing to and ushering forth the next representation of the species before we leave up out of here.
Yes.
So to say that these things are pushed on girls, it's a biologically imposed gender role that we don't have time to be exploring to see if there can be cross-training. Little girl, you are the only one who gives birth to babies, and when it shows up, you're responsible for feeding it, teaching it language and culture so that it can integrate in with the rest of us. If you don't do well at that, then your arm of the species ceases. So
understood.
Here's a baby doll. Get used to it. Son, get over here. I built this house. You're going to need one of your own. Grab that axe.
Yeah. Understood.
The savagery and propensity to violence is the last thing I wanted to cover. That's an necessary component of evolution. In fact, it's the engine of evolution. It's the crucible of comparison that allows evolution to take place, natural selection, right? So evolution is the slow process of deciding something that's better and making sure that that thing comes into being to replace the older, less effective whatever. How do you find that out? Well, you take two things that have a slight difference, make them compete until they reach their absolute maximum potential, which means something has to die. The survivor is the winner. So whatever he has that gave him the advantage over the loser is what we adapt to. Now, let's try it again. Put him against that guy. Who wins? Bracket elimination style. That's what evolution does through natural selection. And competition, combat to the death, ensures that happens. Same thing with a woman's beauty. Men want the prettier women because if you have a baby that's a girl, there's a likelihood that she's going to be pretty, which means she'll have more leverage to go get the bigger, stronger man, which ensures my lineage is on a path to improvement. If you have my boy, hopefully he ends up like me, big and strong, which is why you chose me, big and strong. Not just because I can build a big house for you, but because you need to know your boy is going to have the same opportunity to improve your lineage in the future. But it's through competition and comparison to find out which is the better option so that that option can be the one that leads the charge going forward.
Evolution does not always lead to better traits.
Always is an natural.
Right. So by the definition you made, you said it was an improvement for the species. So So you're directly trying to correlate that there is a positive trajectory. That's what I'm assuming. Is that what you meant by that definition? Because if so, that's incorrect.
No, so the miscommunication is in the use of the word always, because all it takes is one event to disprove the always, and that completely throws the argument out. You've presented a vacuous truth. The then has to be true if the if is not defined. Take out the always, and then yes, you can find more evidence of evolution being a path to improvement. Things that used to swim in the sea, and this is just an example, had gills. We now have lungs. What's in the sea can't get on land like us, but we can still get in the sea. We don't need gills, but we can create an aqualung. But we developed the brain to create the aqualung or the rebreather when we came out of the water and developed the brain. We developed the brain because we had to, navigating this land. The sea is a simpler place to be. The octopus is the smartest thing they got. But that's how evolution works. And that's why violence and challenge is what the iron sharpens iron. You have to take away material to make something more efficient, to hone it and make it more precise. Same thing with what the environment does to us. It makes us work harder to be better. Even your own muscles. When you lift weights, you tear muscles. Then they have to recover. But when they do, they come back bigger and stronger. It's evolution.
Right. So basically a good parallel to this would be men have evolved as much as white people have evolved when it comes to racism.
You made a very fascinating distinction. You're gonna have
that is the exact down to the T. Like, so the tokenism, the showism, it doesn't mean anything to me. I know it does it means something to a lot of women and a lot of men, but that's the perfect parallel. Men have evolved as much as white people have evolved, which is not much. I mean, I guess they can say, oh, well, I mean, we gave you guys Obama. Oh, well, I mean, you guys can vote and stuff.
You've drawn a
you guys
distinction
can make minimum wage. Like, what is the problem? What are you still crying? Why are you still crying?
So
I mean, y'all be in the hood kicking it and all that, smoking weed. Like, what is the problem? So that would be the perfect example of what I mean by men have not evolved.
In order to answer your question, I need to be clarity. You've made a distinction that leads me to believe men and white people are separate things.
I'm making the connection as far as my example of when you go into, you know, all these examples and on and on and on. Yes, I mean, there's little here and there's that you've thrown us little trinkets as women and said, shut up, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you still crying about? But there's not been real true change. Women today are still crying about the things that first wave feminism, you know, there was two parts to that. So now we're left still with the one part that has never been resolved. Any woman on the panel want to speak on like bringing up like say in a relationship, bringing up bringing up a man's flaws, things like that. You like.
What's your question?
Okay,
I'm sorry, Dre, because I would love to answer it.
This is about to be a lot to get into. Let me take a pause. Somebody else. I don't know how you want to do it.
So, what's your question first? Because I would love to answer it. What's your question, Drea?
I'm sorry. I was about to go off into some other stuff. Let's stay on. It's the equivalency of how much white people have evolved. So
I disagree with that.
To be fair, they can
okay. Well, Drea, hold on, Drea.
We're not, you know. So
Drea, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Check.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Well, so she heard it. Let's see why Rebecca disagrees, and then y'all can have a civil discourse.
Yes.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
I'm muting.
Hi, Drea. I'm Rebecca.
Hi, I'm a mute. I'm muting.
No problem. Okay. So I disagree with the whole men have evolved just as much as white people. Yeah, I disagree with that. I take the same stance as Aaron. Probably because me and Aaron come from the same environment, but it just looks different. Like I can't. First off, I work with white people on both sides, civilian and military. Work with a lot of white people. So I don't even want to say like that's even part of the discussion. I'm gonna keep it honest. So I like how he said that was interesting, but I disagree with that. So the fact that like men actually, even though like I do believe that there's parts of savagery, but that's because of just mankind in its whole. But men definitely, I've learned from men, we'll say it that way. Like I know you kind of brought up the question, I kind of heard it as far as like in a relationship. Like I definitely contribute a lot of my growth logically, not just to my relationship, but even in like my military life. Obviously it's man leading. So to think of logic, and especially with my job, I have to think in logic, even though I might feel a certain type of way and I can understand how things might feel. The reality is, what is the bigger picture? Even the whole, when it comes to women taking care of kids, they have to emotionally, acquiesce to the kid to make sure that they're, emotionally right. The man is going to step in and be like, okay, but think of it this way, and try to teach them these things. Is he controlling me? No, he's giving me a different perspective other than what I'm thinking. So I disagree with like the whole control aspect, or like men don't have any logic and they lack this. And I cannot agree with that. Respectfully, I can't agree with that because, again, maybe it's just what I've experienced, but I can't agree with that at all. Because that's not what I take from it. I see a lot of the time, even if we don't think that we're thinking emotionally, because I've done it, we're thinking emotionally, and we have to be like, okay, are we thinking this way? But if we talk to each other, we're going to continue that emotional state. Do it with my sisters, I do it with my friends. So we have to think like, yeah, we are kind of being emotional. And then when we're brought out of it, are we really being controlled, or are we really just being told like this is what this is a different perspective and a logical greater scheme of things when we can't think of that greater scheme? But that's all I have for that.
If you're under a man's covering, you're essentially subjected to his control. Right?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. There's control aspect within the relationship. So I could see why Drea said control, because it's literally what he's doing.
But it depends on the connotation. Is she coming from a negative connotation as, okay, is this control like, oh, you can't control me? Or is it like, okay, this is something that's necessary in the relationship because I am out of control?
I come from a space of, I know this is like, okay, nobody may agree with this, but I just come from a space of, you're not going to be a hypocrite on my time. You're not going to do anything that I can't do. If you're going to tell me to do certain things, I should be able to tell you to do certain things. If I have to listen to you, you need to listen to me at times. If I'm not able to go out and entertain people, you're not going to go entertain people. Not on my watch. You can do that on another person's watch, but not on mine.
But Drea, do you know the times, or can you pinpoint times where you're like, probably shouldn't have done that. I wasn't right in this aspect. So I understand where he might be coming from.
Oh,
can
absolutely.
you pinpoint times? Okay.
Absolutely. Definitely. But I don't feel that they're more logical, because most of the time I usually have the better ideas. Most of the time, and I'm around all types of men. So career wise, school wise, I mean, my whole life, I grew up. I mean, I'm from Ohio. I grew up pretty co-ed, like with everything. I never went to like an all girls school, all boys school, or nothing like. I mean, I never went to an all girls school or anything like that. So I've been around males my whole entire life. I don't see, even on a global scale. This is why on a global, okay, so even on a global scale, men are not doing what they're supposed to do. Why else do you think
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but how can you speak on a global scale when you're specifically talking about nationally and specifically talking about the state of Ohio? How can you speak on a global scale? What have you experienced in a global scale to that aspect?
The World Wide Web. You can talk to women from anywhere.
But okay, you could definitely talk to women anywhere, but I'm talking about the perspective of a man. Yeah. How can you talk to that from a global scale?
You can talk to men online. I travel, all that. So, like, I don't see what I was saying was I'm personally from Ohio. So I was just making that a point of how, like, I grew up co-ed. It was never like I was isolated or anything like that. So I'm just saying, putting that out there, how, where I've developed these ideas. I've literally watched it in my eyes my entire life. And that's, even other, so
what part of Ohio are you from? I'm sorry.
Huh?
What part of Ohio are you from? I just want to know because I'm in Ohio.
Columbus.
Oh, okay. I'm in Ohio too. That's why I asked.
Yep. Just in case y'all wanted to know, like, well, what region is she from? Where is her mind? Yeah. So that's why I brought that up. But I was just gonna say, even on a global scale, like, we could just look at the work. So we're subjected to the elite. This shows you that men are not logical. They're not thinkers. They're not leaders. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. That can prove it right there.
I think
we just come
more so.
Go ahead, Calvin. Sorry.
I think it's more so along the lines of okay, so this is how I'm thinking of it, right? To say that men are more logical, just as a blanket statement, like they're more logical across the board, I can't co-sign that at all.
No way.
You know what I'm saying? Because you leave room for the non-logical ones. You're like, well, I'm more logical than her because I'm an XY chromosome type shit, and we all know that that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So no, I can't go. And I think that men pick and choose when they want to be logical.
Yeah.
Because they'll toss that logical right over their shoulder when it's something that they really want to do.
But then you're never logical when it comes to sex.
But hold on, wait,
more
Drea.
logical than women. Like, what?
Callie, don't we do the same thing? We pick and choose when we want to be logical as well.
Right. But we're not over here talking about
we're more logical than men. We're not saying we're the leaders, though. You can't tell me you're the leader of me and you're not more smart. You're not
we are, and I'm not talking about in this space, like, specifically. I'm not talking about us specifically, but are we really saying that as a whole?
We're doing the same thing, yes, but the onus is being put on us to change from doing that thing and not doing it anymore, while it's being touted that it's a biological imperative for them to do that thing. That's where the disconnect for Drea and Callie is. How are you going to tell us to change when we do the same thing as you, but when it comes to you changing, it's a biological imperative that you cannot change?
Right.
And that's where the disconnect for them is.
And also add the disconnect is you are completely a blonde when it comes to sexual endeavors, but you think you are the leader of me. You would never lead. I wouldn't let you lead my puppy.
Okay, I want to ask Aaron and HAMP this question. Do y'all think that the majority of women think that we're more logical or that we're. Do y'all get that sentiment from us?
No, I don't. It's not an issue of who's more logical.
Mm-hmm.
The distinction I make is the decisions and cognitive function of men are driven by logic more so than that of women, which would be driven by emotion. When a woman makes a decision, its chief legislator is emotion. A man makes a decision, his chief legislator is probability.
Aaron, I want to add that we also do use logic, because when you're dealing with a child, that's not a woman using all emotion. She has to use logic as well, or they could die.
So I have to correct you. I didn't say all.
Right.
I'm drawing a distinction. One is more likely than the other. Both employ both. Both have both.
Yeah. Okay.
One has a greater propensity to lean one way, and the other one is the opposite.
Okay. Okay. I agree to disagree, I guess.
All right. Did you have another question, Miss Rebecca?
No, it was just, I don't know. I disagree with you, Drea. You know, respectfully, I definitely disagree with you when it comes to as far as what you're thinking. And again, and like I said earlier, it's because I'm biased. I am biased because of the environment that I'm in.
Okay.
So that's the only reason why I think that is. Because I can think from a different perspective, even globally, understanding travel, all of that. I don't, and I'm not sure if you do, I don't seek out or talk to people who are like-minded all the time. And I still feel the same exact way as far as men being more logical when it comes to the thought process and us being more emotional. And that's also from just a personal myself perspective of how I can see where I've, been more emotional than what my fiance has been, and being able to pull me out of that to tell me, certain things.
Of course.
So.
Perhaps if we conducted a case study analysis that's very local in proximity and time, just this panel, the way I've articulated the supporting information behind my position is it's logic based. It's chronological. There's a cause and effect. When you disagree, it usually lands in an agree to disagree. And prior to that, when you present your position, it's usually in response to or reactionary. It's a tit for tat. Well, if men, this blah, 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 then so and so and so, which presents vacuous truths. A then cannot be proven or disproven if the if is never defined, right? If X is a number, then X plus 1 is 2. Well, what if the number is 7, right? It's now false. And I think that's how women structure their argument because of how the position makes them feel. Whereas mine, I don't have any feeling about any of it. I look at what I believe, what I studied, what I see, my understanding of the world. And when there's breakdowns in the communication, I ask for clarity, right? And I'm open to being corrected. But when you misinterpreted me, I had to bring that to you. I never said always. And I didn't say men are more logical. I said their cognitive functions are driven by logic, more so. Mm-hmm. I had to reiterate probability and all this. But when I misinterpreted what you were saying, it was picked up right away. And I asked you, I said, I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to proceed with false information. Is that right there not a good example of the difference between operating with emotion versus operating under the guidance of logic?
Yeah, I mean, well, communicators, right? Who would be a better communicator? The person that communication, conversations rooted in logic or emotion? Like, who do you guys think would be a better communicator?
Logic for sure,
matter?
because there's no bias.
What do you guys think?
Logic.
Kelly?
Yeah, I know you said that. That men are the better communicators, for sure.
And why, I guess, is the reason.
Because they don't give a damn.
Huh? They're
That's
less
it, because
emotional?
they don't give a damn.
Well, they're less emotional. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
And are they more logical by proxy?
No.
Okay, so if they're less emotional, what are they? You saying they don't care?
That could be.
Yeah, they don't care.
I think that's disingenuous as hell. So, Andrea, what I'm just looking at is they admitted that men are better communicators, but it's because they don't care, I guess, apparently now. The truth is, when men communicate, when we have the conversation, their communication isn't rooted in how they feel or the emotions regarding said topic. Right? So if we don't communicate in that way, what are we leveraging? Common sense, logic, right, etc. But now Callie's saying we don't care because she don't want to disprove or contradict herself, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, y'all don't. I'm just saying. Unless you have a rapport with that person or whatever like that, however it comes out is however it comes out. You don't care.
Being careless doesn't make you a better communicator, though. See, that doesn't reconcile.
Care
well,
is
from
more
the discussions that I've had or whatever, from the discussions that I've had, they don't care how it sounds. You know, they feel like they don't know how to say what it is that they want to say, or they feel like they shouldn't have to put on a filter or anything like that to go ahead and express what it is that they really mean or what they're trying to say. Like they act like they can't say, like, okay, so if he doesn't like her dress or something like that, right? They feel like there's no other way to say that they don't like that dress aside from saying that dress is horrible. You know what I'm saying?
I learned that men don't know how to. They don't know how to say what they don't know how to express themselves.
So it's like, okay, so you don't know how to say what you mean without being an asshole about it. You know, I'm not saying that that's all men. That's just majority of the conversations that I have about that topic specifically. They act like it's short circuit and they don't know how to say what they mean without being a dick.
But somehow this person that you're saying is the better communicator?
Yes. Because they don't care.
He has no tact. You're saying he has no tact. He doesn't understand set or setting. He's limited in verbiage, in grammar. So he has to just be blunt. And he's the better communicator? That's why you said men are better communicators?
Right, because it's straight to the point, no chaser. There's no kind of wiggle room. It's like, oh, well, he didn't really mean that, you know, it was horrible or anything like that. He just doesn't like that color. You know, there's no wiggle room at all whatsoever. It's just straight, no chaser. That's it.
Okay, so you're saying whoever's the most blunt is the best communicator?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Then by virtue of that, any breakdown in communication has to be the woman's fault, since you are the more sophisticated communicators. And if the best way to communicate is to be efficient and direct.
Why would I say that? No. What? I never said that we were the better communicators. What are you talking about?
No, I didn't say you did. But the question I'm asking is, by virtue of what you just said, when there is a breakdown in communication, the assumption can be made that it is the woman, since she is the one that is more sophisticated in the way she communicates, which muddies the water. If the best way to communicate is to be direct, efficient, and minimalist, then any deviation from that is not the best. And we all know women are more colorful in their communication. So when there's a miscommunication, it was you that were the progenitor of it, since we're the better, more efficient communicators.
So why would you say we're more sophisticated just because we use more colorful language? That just leaves more room for, that just leaves more.
Well, no, sophisticated, diverse, complex, nuanced, colorful, varied. These are all synonymous. Simple, crude, rudimentary, basic. These are the opposite of sophisticated in these things. Like, you're emotionally sophisticated. You have a wider variety of emotions to feel. You can move through them much more quickly, and you can go direct from one to another. I have a very few set of emotions. They're arranged in a linear fashion. I don't feel them very intensely, and when I do, I'm mad, I'm baseline, I'm happy, I'm sad. Red, blue, right? The primaries. Y'all got magenta, fuchsia, salmon, peach, but emotions. And you can go from magenta to midnight gray. I got to go from red to purple to blue. I can't go blue to yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Take those colors, just make them emotions. That's it. And then that point made. Same thing with language. You ever hear one talk?
Yo.
Hear what?
It's very women. When you communicate with one another, there'll be three women sitting in a room talking to each other on the phone, texting one another. There'll be three conversations about three totally different things. I see it all the time. Men, we grunt in like vowel sounds and watch the game.
That's where I say men haven't evolved. You're capable of it. You don't want to put in the work.
Oh my, why you sick? Listen, it's ridiculous, Aaron, that you have to do all that. So if I'm trying to be
they don't get the hyperbole of it.
Men are capable.
Trying
they
to,
don't want to put in the work.
Let me just ask this question. In order to communicate something clearly, is it imperative? Is it logical to be clear and concise? What's more logical, to be clear and concise, or to convolute it with verbiage and adages and sugarcoating that can potentially sully the message? What makes more sense? What's more logical, to sugarcoat or to be clear and concise so they understand exactly what's being said?
Ooh,
clear and concise.
That's a good
clear
one.
and concise.
And so if men are indeed clear and concise, also known as blunt, right, which Callie articulated, right, and women are more willing to sugarcoat, right, the more logical communication style is to be clear and concise, right? When you say men are better communicators, that is why, because it's rooted in what makes the most sense at the time, regardless of feeling. And now all of a sudden men ain't more logical. Come on, man.
I don't see where y'all are trying to make it seem like women lie. Like, no. Are y'all really trying to say like a woman won't? I don't know if it's just me, but I have never had women lie to me about certain shit. They won't say it as bluntly as a man, but they'll say, "Baby girl, that wig is not given."
It's the accountability, Drea. It's not about being about it being a lie. It's about having accountability.
Yeah, women do tell each other the truth. I've never, unless a girl doesn't like you, I've never been around somebody that wouldn't tell you the truth. That's a female.
But are you clear and concise in your relationships? Are you clear and concise, not with your friends, your relationships with the man that you want to be with? Are you clear and concise with him?
Great question. So that's a part of my conversation about men not evolving. Yes, but I don't know how. Okay, so from my experience, when you're clear and concise in your relationship, Rebecca, what specifically were you talking about being clear and concise about?
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
No,
you were talking about being clear. You're talking about being clear and concise with your friends, right?
Yeah. But yeah.
That's fine. Great. We can do that with our female friends. Perfect. In our relationship with the man that we're with, are we clear and concise and holding ourselves accountable for when the times get bad? When things happen between you and your boyfriend or whoever you're with, and you mess up and say something or do something that's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Are you clear and concise of what you did and why you did it? Are you clear and concise with yourself? Are you clear and concise with him? Let's work on blase, and moving forward. Are we clear and concise with those things is what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So, yes, specifically I was going to go into that topic earlier, but it was we were talking about something else and I didn't get to, but that's a part of my argument about men not evolving. And now this could be my personal experience and not experience that other women have. But in my opinion, men are not evolved in that way.
I'm sorry, Drea. I don't know if I'm being clear. For you yourself.
Oh,
taking accountability has nothing to do with what the man isn't doing. It's about what you're doing or what you're not doing.
Sure. Yes, I am. I'm very clear and concise. I'm very honest. I'm very blunt. I'm very open. It doesn't make me feel less than to admit that I'm wrong. It's not that deep. But yeah, I'm very clear and concise.
What is that? Okay, hang on.
I was just gonna say,
concise, communicating what it is that I did wrong to him, to your dude. Is that what you're
So I know we're talking about how the logic as far as when it comes to communication between men and women. Is that what that's something we're talking about, right? Hallie, am I wrong?
I'm very clear and concise.
Oh, okay. So I just want to make sure I'm on the right topic. So
I was trying to figure out what you meant.
Yeah. So when it comes to communication between the both of us, I know we're talking about how we're towing the line with, how men are the more logical ones when it comes to are more effective communicators. I'm not sure if we have conceded to the point that men are the more logical communicators than women. But I do know that we talk about how men are the better communicators. So why are they the better communicators if we can't concede to the fact that they are more logical?
No, because can't go, not co-signing that. And these are my emotions talking. Because whatchamacallit, when you leave room for men who are illogical to hide behind, we're just more logical, like just across the board, period. And because I'm more logical across the board, period, that means that you don't know what you're talking about, even though you may be right. And you may have a more logical position.
Are those the minority of men or the majority of men?
In my experience,
majority.
I run to very few who are more logical across the board with everything.
Okay.
I wanted to
different experience, Callie. So different experience. If you're saying that yours is the majority, I'm going to say mine's is the minority that are less logical than I am. The majority that I converse with are more logical. So I can't disprove your experience with that.
Yeah, I put it like this. I know about a good maybe 2 or 3 in real life, the more logical ones that I've met that are just logical across the board. I met them on the daggone internet.
Yeah.
So the men that you all met on the internet is the majority of men that are less logical than you are.
No, I'm saying the one, the minority of the ones that are more logical across the board is definitely in real life. I've met more logical men across the board on the internet.
Okay.
Kelly,
because my pool is bigger.
Kelly prefaced her statement with, "These is my emotions talking."
Yeah, she did say that. I heard that. Yeah.
Like, come on, Kelly.
I wanted to add a big point.
Go ahead.
I want to add a big point. I could prove that most men are not logical. They're not leaders. They're not thinkers. Again, I had brought up earlier, the world would not be in ruins if they were. And that's in any community. Also, men would not be allowing the elite to do it. And you may be able to speak on this, Rebecca, no disrespect, but baby, they wouldn't be allowing the elite to do what they're doing. They would not be allowing the government to break the Constitution if most men were logical thinkers, leaders, or respectable. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute.
All I gotta say is Aaron is a product of the logic that I see.
It's not
for the majority of men that I've experienced. That's a big salute to Aaron, because
that's one.
Yeah.
Right. There's 7 billion people on Earth.
Well, I understand all that. Again, I'm in the military, if you didn't know, Drea. So I've traveled. I've experienced a lot of different men. So regardless of Aaron being the one, he's also one to kind of put up there with the rest of the people that were men. And I've seen great women leaders too, but the majority are men. And again, I'm not taking away from your experience or Callie's experience, but the reality is my experience is the majority of men that I've encountered are logic.
But you being in the military is why I actually posed the question there, because you see it front line. Majority of men are not logical. They're not leaders. They're not thinkers. I don't know what's the best way to say this, but
let me say this real quick. Rebecca means that she traveled the world in the military and met different men in different places in leadership positions, right?
Right.
People use
they're
that
not
word.
even they're not.
Well, what I'm clarifying is people use that word experience differently than how Rebecca used it. She's saying she met a bunch of men doing her job, and at the job they were in leadership roles. Okay. Now this part, Drea, when you say the world's in shambles, I guess we would ask, like, what do you mean? So, for instance, the world is the safest, because where do we surmise the world as? We haven't been everywhere, but when we use our country specifically, it's the safest it's ever been.
Yeah, because I guess physically, not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually, it's actually the worst it's ever been.
Okay, so what do you mean by shambles and ruin, and what do you mean by spiritually it's not? You guys have more freedom spiritually than ever. Isn't that what you wanted?
That doesn't mean that it's being. I mean, you can lead a horse to water. Doesn't mean they're drinking it.
Well, so what do you think is spiritual?
So I'm saying the world is the worst that it's ever been, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I will agree that it's safer physically. I guess if you're comparing that to what, like the Civil War, World War II, maybe the Dark Ages, and like those type of things.
Yeah, like people.
Yeah. So I agree physically. Yes, I do agree. And that also is because men have allowed the elite. They've allowed for so long for slavery and you know, for things to be created and built, and you know, all the way until we're to this point. So it kind of, let's put it this way. I guess it'll be another war once the elite decides that they want to take something, move, whatever, and then men will be complacent and they'll sit there and act like they don't know what's going on, and then it'll continue to perpetuate like it has since the beginning of time. So there's no way most men are strong leaders, thinkers, rational, none of that.
Okay, what's the so when you're saying,
and even to go with what you just said, those events in time wouldn't have happened if men were actually if most men were actually thinkers and leaders, war wouldn't even have happened to begin with. Those things wouldn't even have happened historically.
What is your spiritual baseline?
Mine, I'm just spiritual. The God is within me.
Yeah, so that's some shit that you got 2025.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, because if you're saying that the world is worse, I would agree based on what you just said.
I didn't get this. You talking about my personal belief? I didn't get that in 2025.
Where'd you get it from?
I got it a little after I left college.
From where?
Just reading, and just really honestly out of confusion. Initially, because I grew up Christian background, family, you know, all that. And it wasn't making any sense. Men are of division, and you know, all that immortal type thing. So that, how do we have over 50 or how many religions is there? How, Sway? So that's just the same human mind, like a gang. Everybody wants you to join their gang. You know, so I was just going through a lot of that, reading different, talking to different people, reading different Bibles. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. God is right here. God is right here. Everybody trying to pull you that because everybody wants you to join their gang.
How is that men's fault that you are confused?
It's not men's fault that I'm confused at all. I thank God that I was confused, because that's how I found the truth.
What God? Huh?
The God is within me.
What God is it though?
Huh?
What God is it?
God. There's one. There's only one. There's not a bunch of. It's only one.
I know, but what does he do? Like, does he have any sons or?
No, I don't. I don't subscribe to any of that. Religion is man-made. Sorry. So religion is what is man-made. I'm not blaming men. Never mistake anything to do with me blaming it on men. Men, I hold my own. I'm saying religion is man-made. That's what I meant. And why is there thousands of them? I don't even know how many there is at this point. So that led me to spirituality, and led me to, you know, and I kept digging in that rabbit hole and reading about, you know, Christianity, Muslims, and you know, all the way down to the Vatican. Like, it's deep. So yeah.
Okay, so you're naming Abrahamic religion. So your God is the God of the Bible?
The God is within me.
What you mean?
I'm not religious.
I know,
I
but
don't
you said
subscribe to religion.
No, but you said you read a bunch of Abrahamic texts. You even referred to the Vatican.
When I was trying to like figure out, when I was Christian, and then I was trying to figure out some things, and I was like, this isn't really sitting right. I always, even when I was a child, I had questions, but you know, that was kind of like out of order. So I just left it alone. You know how many people do, just leave it alone, bury it, act like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then when I got in college, I did the work on my own.
Gotcha. So I guess we're just asking because you said that the world is in shambles spiritually. And I'm wondering, don't sound like men did that to you, right? The freedoms that you've been given.
It's not about me. I'm saying it's not about me.
But what do you call it? Are you in spiritual ruin? I guess is my question.
No, that's the point. I'm not following man-made religion. That's the ruin. That's the shambles.
What are you following though?
I'm following me. I'm following the God within me, listening to myself, listening to my mind, listening to what's right and what's wrong, having my morality, having my principles. You know when something, you can feel it if you're doing wrong or doing right. So I live by that. I'm trusting in me. I'm not trusting in exterior motives and biases and man-made things and what every man wants you to do, what they want you to do. No, this is my life.
Okay, so you kind of idolize yourself, and then your
No, I'm
moral.
not idolizing myself. You should not be. No, I'm not a. No, I'm not God. No, I'm not above the program.
Okay.
No.
So do you live by like thou shalt not steal, kill, bear false witness, stuff like that?
No, I just don't think you should be doing those things. It has nothing to do with the Bible. Why would I take something from somebody that worked hard for theirs? You don't know what that person had to do.
Okay.
You don't know what that person has to do. So I mean, that's just common sense, right?
Okay.
Kill somebody, like you didn't bring them here. So yeah.
Okay, so you don't believe in eye for an eye.
If somebody was trying to kill me, then of course I'm not. It's either you or me. I'm not going to allow you to kill me. You have no right to take my life. Who are you?
No, like they killed
You're
one. They killed your kid. Would you kill him?
Oh, like, well, if I was witnessing it, yes.
No,
if it was in the moment,
you knew that
yes.
person was, but other than that, you would let him live.
Other than that, we would go. You would have to face the consequences.
Okay, I got you. What about would you? Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what this God is. I think what happens is what you're talking to is the perversion that you're talking about with spirituality, because what it is you are allowed to determine your accountability based on what you feel in the moment. And I think that's that luxury that people take. But I guess the reason why I'm addressing it is because you said men have allowed the world to become in turmoil, but nobody forced that on you. Because if you talk to me as a man, we could probably help you get some clarity.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say like they had a gun to our head, but our parents, our grandparents, yeah, like if you want to be straight up, why are we even being told? Why are you even telling your children about man-made religions instead of letting them find the truth on their own?
What do you mean? You just read a bunch of books and that's how you got here.
No, but just period. I'm asking you a question. Why are children not allowed to just seek from their own? Why are we as adults giving them man-made religions and telling them to follow it?
What's man-made? What man-made?
Religions are man-made.
Religions are. What? So is the Bible man-made? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, a man wrote it. Yes, absolutely.
What do you mean? Like penned it?
Yes.
Okay, because
and edited and altered it and edited it.
Yeah, so all scripture
and took stuff out and added stuff in.
Well, so based on the Bible, right? All scripture is inspired by the Most High, right? From the men that He chose to write it down for Him. So if I write a book and Aaron is the scribe, who wrote the book? Me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to figure out where you get your baseline from, and it sounds like it's pretty biblical.
Hold on, humans are imperfect and humans are liars, right? And they change stuff, right? So there goes that.
Like what?
So I mean,
like what?
All I can do is trust that
like
you're
what,
giving me what God gave you, but there's no proof of that. So I'm not gonna.
But with
if
you're
a human and you know humans, then you already know.
But with you being your own baseline, right? Based on that logic, nothing can hold you accountable but your lying self. What happens to your outcome?
No. I hold myself accountable for
but
my
it's based
behavior
on what you
because
feel,
hold on, but there's no out to that. Well, okay, I don't know what other people do, but for me, there's no out to that because there's no out for anybody. It's a matter of if you accept it or not. But you can fake all you want. It's consequences to every action. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter about all of that because if I make an action, there's a consequence. So if I do this, then this is the result. It doesn't matter if I'm whatever you said, holding myself accountable, the universe is going to hold me accountable.
And so you trusted the books you read, but the Bible's been tampered with.
What?
Because you say you read a bunch of stuff to get to this point. What did you read?
I've read the Quran. I've read the King
What you mean?
James
Okay.
I read the King James version.
Uh-huh.
I guess the
What did it
original
say that you
version
did?
of the Bible, Christian.
Which one? What'd you read?
The King James version.
Uh-huh.
I read the another. I think I can't remember what it was, but it was a Bible. It wasn't King James. I've talked to some Catholics slightly, and I just so it wasn't. There was a lot of things that were contradictory. Just a lot of stuff that I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
So I read the Bible a few times. I've never seen any contradictions. What you think about that?
I mean, you're a man.
I mean, I'm just reading it, right? I read the Quran too. So did you like either one of those?
No.
No. Okay. How come? What the Catholics say? What they read?
Oh my gosh! So that was a pretty deep rabbit hole right there.
What do they read though? I'm interested.
The Bible.
Okay.
What you mean?
The King James one?
I'm not sure actually. What
the hell y'all talk about?
What? No, they read the Bible, but they do have some varying beliefs, and they marry, and
She didn't like them either.
No.
Okay. So which one do you like?
I just I like to be self-governed.
Right. That was my initial point, right? Your so-called belief system is very convenient, right? Anything that you want to do, you can justify because this so-called God is in you. You just literally got to say your baseline is Abrahamic religions, right? But you don't know much about them to then just be denouncing it, right? And then you're saying things are man-made, but the Bible is ordained by the Most High, right? It even has prophecy in it and things of that nature. But you casting a jacket on it, but you haven't done your due diligence.
Yeah, we can't prove that. That's again, humans lie, humans alter things, so I mean, you can play the game where you tell one person something and by the time it gets to the sixth person, that's not what they said. So I just will never believe that. I don't want to.
Like prophecy?
Yes, I'm self-governed. Again, I think that the God is within you because when you're doing something, you have a second brain. You have a gut instinct.
But
you know when you're doing something
you glossed
that's not
over
right.
You glossed over the word prophecy.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
You glossed over the word prophecy.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so prophetic, right? So the Bible will say things that happened 3,000 years later.
Well, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Nothing's new under the sun. We're just humans. We're doing the same thing.
No,
you're not inventing the wheel.
No, like actual events.
Well, if they happen then, why can't they happen now when humans do the same things?
No, like actual events, right? That happen to a specific group of people, as an example.
Well, I can't prove that. I don't know. I guess.
Well, if I articulated it to you, you would be like, oh, wow. But I thought, see, the thing is, when people tell me they read it, right, and they can't recall prophetic events, it gives me cause for pause. And then they cast a disparaging light on the book itself.
What do you mean? Like, the stories of the Bible? Like, I actually purposely forgot them because I don't care. I mean, that's a story. That's an event, a story. That's like, COVID happened in America in 2020. Okay. I don't care. That doesn't change my belief system. It's still just a story. It's a battle story. It's like any other story that's happened to man.
No. So what it would be like this, right? If you read a book in 1,000 years, it said, hey, in this many years, COVID is going to happen in 2019, right? would you just cast that aside, or you say, oh, this book may have some merit because it prophesied that this was going to happen?
No, I would just think nothing's new. I have common sense enough to know that nothing's new under the sun.
Okay, so you would deduce that they're talking about an event that happened to them.
Like, okay, yes. I mean, natural catastrophes happen. I mean, these things are a part of life. I don't see that as psychic abilities. I just see that as nothing's new under the sun.
Okay, but you do understand what prophecy is, right?
Where you you foresee something. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like essentially something in the future.
Yeah. And I'm trying to make a point of we can foresee. I mean, I could foresee there will be a fire. There will be a fire. There will be a I can foresee another hurricane in 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's not what that is, right?
I can foresee that there will be some fires in Cali in the next 10 years.
No, so what this is it gives you there's years, like how many years, as an example, these people are going to be in slavery. It'll tell you that how they will go into slavery, on what method of transportation, and what's going to happen to them, and who they're going to be subject to, right? So it's detailed in that way. It's not just there'll be a forest fire because California has forest fires. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. So did you? Okay. So then I missed the part. Did you read the part? So then when does the slavery end, or when did it end, or what?
Well, I'm not gonna waste it. You say you don't care about it, but I'm just saying that
because I'm like, yeah, that's where it's not.
Well, what I was just taken aback by, because you were saying that you read it.
Yeah.
Right? So
absolutely.
But when you read these things, right, these things get seared into your head because you're like, holy shit. I thought this happened. You know, when this happened, the Bible tells you it's going to happen anyway. And those things seem to kind of stick out to people, you know. But when you if you haven't actually read it, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm not impressed. Slavery has been since day one of humanity, and slavery is still to this day.
How many years were we enslaved here?
I guess now like 450.
Well,
really, technically, we're still mentally enslaved. So it never stopped. It never stopped.
But yeah, we're saying from the inception of the slave trade to when it technically ended. Do you know the years?
So physically, because only physically stopped. It's been like 400, or I don't know what, 1776 or whatever.
No.
Physically.
So
was it 7 whatever? Yeah.
Well, not whatever, right?
1776.
No. That would be.
I don't know.
The War of Independence.
Yeah, I don't know.
Correct. So essentially, like as an example, the Bible has almost perfect years of when the slave trade started to when it was actually slavery was actually abolished. You know. So if you read the book of Ezekiel, because I know you read it, so when you read the book of Ezekiel, you can find it. And then the slave trade is actually articulated and prophesied in the book of Deuteronomy if you read it directly. And these things usually jump out to people when they read it, right? I just want people to pause when they say they read it, because then when you meet people that actually read it, those things kind of get exposed, you know? Like the Quran, as an example. Do you prefer the Quran over the Bible or vice versa?
I don't deal with it. But again, slavery never ended. Slavery didn't end. So there, I can call that out as a bad prophecy right there. But again, I guess people will argue, oh, we're not enslaved, but okay. We don't have real independence. You're not running nothing. You don't create the law. You don't have anything here. So it never actually ended. So therefore, the book of Ezekiel is not correct. So again, men write those books. You could follow it. I don't follow it. I would rather follow myself, because I know I'm gonna do right. I know I'm gonna be held accountable, and I know the universe is gonna hold me accountable Ain't no faking. How you gonna fake? Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that what you're
It's
articulating.
a matter of if you respect consequences or not. It's a matter of, it's people out here who go through things, they don't respect the consequence and they crash out. I respect the consequences because I know it comes with the actions.
Yeah.
So
No,
I hold myself I hold myself to a standard that I don't even see religious people holding themselves to. So
well, I think we would have a difficulty agreeing there, but I think that what you're articulating is an issue with the world, is that people think that they can properly govern themselves.
You definitely can.
Because it's predicated on, so what you think is moral and right and civil is predicated off of what you've been taught here in this country.
No,
and this
not.
country specifically is predicated, most of our laws off of biblical laws and things of that nature, right?
No,
so as an example,
no, it's not.
I'm gonna tell you why. So like as an
world.
example, in the Quran, right, when you under Sharia and things of that nature, right, you can discipline your woman by hitting her, not beating the shit out of her, but hitting her, right? And so if you grew up in those countries, that would be acceptable, right? But over here, it's not, because we grow up under a different construct. What are you shaking your head no about?
Do
you think men should be able to hit their women?
I govern I'm the only one that can tell
I
govern.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think men? Well, that's the problem, right? Do you think men should be able to hit their wives?
No. I don't think anybody should put their hands on anybody. You don't have to. Yeah,
and so what I'm saying is, right, based on
it's not something that's necessary.
Yeah, based on where you come up and grow up at, right? That's the point I'm making. When you travel around the world, right?
Absolutely.
You would know that those countries, the reason why they're so successful is because everybody is subscribed and submitting to their God, right? And his laws. And so in those countries, you discipline your wife and it's a structure to it, right?
Hold on, you call that success? That's what you describe as success?
Yeah, because remember what I said, they're successful in their construct, right? Because they all subscribe to their religion and they all submit to their God.
Hold on. So a woman's suffering is success for a man.
No, you said
because
suffering.
Those women, there's women who they're suffering over there.
You said suffering. I'm articulating to you how they govern themselves, right?
Yeah, so suffering. If you cause injury or harm to me, or all the way up into death, that's very much not successful, and that's very much harmful.
You're inserting something that hasn't been said, right? We're talking about discipline.
No, but hold on, but that is discipline in those. You're talking about Muslim countries, right?
Mm-hmm. So
that is discipline all the way leading up to death.
No, that's the problem, right? No, so in the book that they believe in, right, the Quran, this is how it's articulated, right? You scold her for all intents and purposes, right? Then you forsake her in bed, right? So you don't have sex with her. And then it says you can physically hit her, but in the most popular English transition, it says kind of like a paddle or a slap or as light as a feather, right? Also, I was talking to a lot of my Muslim brothers actually, and the concept of alimony actually comes from Islam. So we're not disparaging. We're just saying that that's what they believe. And I know you don't believe that because you come up under a Christian-led country where we don't have those same type of thing. Yeah, because you come up here. That's why.
No, I don't even believe in Christianity. But anyway.
Well, you subscribe to a lot of the tenets, even though you don't want to believe it.
No, but that. Hold on, Christianity came way after that. That's common sense.
Way after
killing somebody, stealing from somebody. Christianity stole that, sweetie.
From where?
From common sense.
Well, from where?
Like there's nowhere on earth that you would think that that's okay to just kill somebody. So let's stop pretending that
from where
Christianity and men, and let's stop pretending that they created that. Christianity came after that.
Where'd it come from?
They stole what is common, what is inside and what is common sense. They
Where did it come
stole
from?
that.
Where did it come from?
Probably what? Probably Judaism, Hinduism.
You're not serious, right?
Huh?
You're not serious, right?
You tell me.
Well, you said Judaism, which
Oh
gives
well,
me
I'm saying that because those came before Christianity and became and before Muslim Muslims.
Do you know what the Torah is?
Hmm.
Do you know what the Torah is?
No, Torah. No. Please, no.
Okay.
The Torah?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Wait. What's the name?
The Torah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something different.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm saying Muslim and Christianity came way after Judaism, Hinduism. So we already know that's bit off of. And Hinduism is spiritual. Hinduism is. I relate to that, but I don't praise that. I don't agree with that because I don't praise other gods. And Buddhism is they have their whole thing going.
All right,
that was the right idea because I do believe the God is within you. I do believe your second brain and and then
Dre,
also hold on,
just
a
couple things worth the correction,
is
right?
go off of the reaction of the other person.
Yeah, so a couple things worth the correction.
If I come
now
towards
Dre,
you,
let's
right?
let's baseline it, right? Because I don't want you to go too far. So the Torah,
I'm sorry.
The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible,
right?
And the Christ that the Christians worship, he's mentioned in Isaiah 53 and Deuteronomy 14:14, just to name a few, right? So they already knew that Christ was coming, right? So that's not actually true in the slightest, right? So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are the first 5 books of the Bible, also known as the Torah or the Torah. So the points we kind of eating at ourselves.
I'll go back and come back. Trust me. When I tell you, trust me.
Yeah.
Okay. I know for a fact Christianity is way down the line. So the order that it came in don't even make sense. I already know that. I mean, you could just see it. Look out, like men create gangs. So of course they will create different spinoffs. So I'm just not buying it. I think you need to listen to yourself. And again, it's easy to just look at the other person. How are they reacting to you? Is what you're doing wanted, unwanted? Like it's not really hard to move in a certain way. Like not at all. Like that's the easiest shit ever. Stop being greedy. Stop trying to put your will on people. Listen to what they're saying. If they say, yeah, I want this. If they say, no, I don't. It's pretty easy for me to self-govern. I've had no issues. Everything is a matter of respect, right? At the very end of the day, no matter who you are, where you come from, what religion you believe.
Well, I think the point was, like, just to go back, because you had said that the women are suffering over there. The main point that I believe HAMP was trying to say was that they wouldn't consider it suffering because they all follow the same religion, whereas we would consider that suffering over here because it's a totally different religious base for our laws and stuff like that. They have a straight up theocracy over there where everybody's following the same thing. Whereas here we have Christianity, we got the
everything
stuff, and we got pretty much a mixed bag of everything.
Biology.
Because we have freedom, because we have freedom of religion, everybody is free to operate in different little boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't consider that suffering over there as far as, the discipline aspect of it. even though still, because we grow up here and we tend to demonize their religion over there, then it's automatically looked at as like some kind of bad thing, and then it's often bastardized and saying, oh well, they hit their women over there. And that was a false belief of mine too, growing up here, where I just thought that they just be hitting folks, but Hamp explained to me that that's not the case. There is an actual order, and it's the first thing that they start off with, just off GP.
Yeah, no, 100%. Oh, that's a good clarification, Callie. I think we are living in chaos because all this, the freedom of religion, man, it makes it tough to baseline. But
I get what you're saying. Y'all saying we're not in uniform, so it's just all over the place. I get that.
All over the place.
I'm just gonna say I thank God that I'm not forced into that.
Andrea, we gonna hang out more often. We gonna get that God in you out of you for damn sure. That's
why. Why? Everybody hate me. All Aaron said is Aaron saying I'm a terrorist? Aaron.
Jonathan with the $5 says, why after the third Netflix and chill, women don't recognize he don't want you? People in general lack discernment. Yours looks different than mine.
Hold on, Jonathan. What if he don't want him though? Why y'all always think that why do y'all think y'all actually think that your thinking is the only thing? What if she don't care? What if she just want to kick it? What if she got a man?
Like Mike with the $5 says, shout out to Aaron, like DJ Khaled, another one. Aaron with the $2 says, I wish you could summon Fantastic. Say brother, brother, brother 3 times. Miss Fantastic sleep. I ain't want her. No, Miss Fantastic go to all. I want her to get warmed up first. Ezekiel Ben Israel with the $5 says, I think we know how to express ourselves through proper communication. I mean, look at Aaron. Jonathan with the $5 says, chill, Aaron. Stop talking that nerd talk. Rebecca smiling. You making too much sense. Ezekiel Ben Israel with the $2. Aaron, fix your face, bro. If Aaron made a face, that's crazy.
No, I'm not a hotep. Don't ever say no crazy bull. Hey, send him his $2 back and delete that shit. He just called me a hotep. Oh, hell no. Hey, I'm getting off of here.
Nika too with the $5.
No, he didn't call me a hotep.
So we have lost women trying to tell men how we are lost. Yeah, drop this one on the dumb pile, please. Thanks. Women want to control men through idealism.
Anasuka, fuck you too.
Jesus. Allow with the 20 bosses. Thank you, Drea. Because most women who pretend to be Christian truly think and believe and subscribe to themselves. Say you're a Christian.
I ain't pretending to be no Christian, baby. I ain't no Christian. I just don't understand that.
He's saying the Christian women actually do what you saying you do. You just saying it out loud. At least you ain't trying to hide it behind the God.
But they say I'm not Christian.
Nah, but Dre, he's saying the similarity is there, right? Because what Christians will say, you probably heard this before.
No, I actually never have. They supposed to
no. This part. You ever heard the Christians say, "God knows my heart"? I know you heard that before.
Yeah, I heard
when
that.
they be wilding. God knows my heart, don't you know what I'm saying? So that's just making a.
But I don't mean it in that way, though.
No, but he's just making a correlation about how it sounds. That's all.
Yeah, I don't mean it in that way. But that's why I'm not a Christian, because I grew up. They tried to brainwash me. It didn't work. I'm way too different. It didn't work. And I already knew it was some bullshit. Cause how you say you this and you following this Bible and then you outside doing something completely different. Make it make sense.
I got you.
So growing up like that, I'm like, yeah, no, bullshit. Muslim bullshit. Bullshit. Everything bullshit. No.
Yeah, we're gonna work.
No.
We're gonna work.
It's a lie.
Let me read these real quick. Let me read these.
Way. You hold
Drea.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You ain't sorry. You done said sorry.
No, because times. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Hold on.
You probably got a little delay. Ezekiel Ben Israel with the $5 says, "Do it, Hamp."
Go ahead.
And Lie with the $10 says, "This should be studied." Aaron with the $2 says modern women practice witchcraft and don't know it.
Who said that? Witchcraft? Who practicing witchcraft?
Nobody said that, Drea. It was an accident. As Abe with the $5 says, Drea, how can I learn to become spiritual like you, or can I? You're so smart.
Inbox me, ass Abe.
You're so smart. Glad you are here. Hang in there and let these men know. Love your style.
Thank you.
Like Mike with the $5 says, Drea is gonna need a personal tutor. This too much.
Little Mike.
A lot with the $10 says, you understand nothing new under the sun comes directly out of the Bible.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean when they stole it?
Oh,
where they stole it?
Miss Valerie Smith in the building says,
wait, what's the dude's name who did Christianity? Constantine? What was the white boy's name? Roman?
No.
Is that where he's saying that nothing new came from?
No, Drea.
Chill, Drea, chill. Let him read the super chat, man.
Miss Valerie Smith in the building with the 20 ball says, how and why is this woman on here? Is this real?
What the white boy name,
Constantine, why you say he was white?
Christian.
Well, we'll get into that another day. Li with the 10 ounces. In world hunger with the power of the goddess in you. LOL. Aaron with the $2 says, she don't know the truth. She don't know the truth. Who she is we are.
Aaron, I've been said, well, you gonna keep sending money and talking shit?
Did I read
Aaron,
it
who
wrong?
are we then? Who are we?
He's saying where she is where we were. Maybe something like he messed with him, man. Ezekiel is right with the 2000. Drea, let the man cook.
He cooking.
As Ava to tell us, Drea, explain buttology. I'm interested. Hey, I didn't know it.
Oh, he really caught that.
Yeah, I ain't think anybody caught it. Aaron with the $2 says, we need Drea and Dez on the same panel.
We do. I'm gonna put on a better wig next time, y'all. I'm ready to take this shit off. I'm hot.
We about to be done. I'm not liking the video with the $2 says, the God in her is Jesus Christ.
I'm not liking the video. No, you the devil, fool.
Yo,
you
man.
the devil, fool.
Yo, we gonna have to. Yeah,
don't be casting that over me. I'm a good person.
We gonna get Dre right. Yeah. Damn, man.
I'm saying Christians. Who is the white boy that created Christianity? Pop quiz. Remember Pop video?
What you're referring to? You think Constantine created Christianity?
Or he was on some Christopher Columbus. He was on his Christopher Columbus.
No, so there was a council, right? The Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea, which he was a part of, right? I think the misnomer is that those men were white, right? That's probably one of the things that we probably got to fact check. But before the Council of Nicaea, you can look this up. The Council of Carthage actually came together first and started compiling books of the Bible. So it's a lot of information out there.
Yeah, definitely.
But Constantine tried to add some bullshit along with the council and etc.
We know.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, this been 43 minutes.
I know what man to do. I don't trust it.
Drea, any final thoughts on men having to evolve? You got 1 minute.
It's been fun. Rebecca, thank you, Aaron, thank you, HAMP, DJ HAMP.
No doubt.
I appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, Dre, we had a good time, man, for sure. We're gonna get some corrective actions in order. We'll make sure we get with Callie on a consistent basis.
You better not try to get me back into religion.
She will be held accountable for your actions.
No, don't judge me. Don't judge me.
We got you, man. You know what? You came, you know what I mean? You had good energy, you know what I'm saying? You wasn't afraid to participate, without the delay. You did good.
Thank you. I enjoyed this, y'all.
Nah, good work, man. Rebecca, any final thoughts?
Yeah, you know, John always say this is your fault. Okay, this is your fault. Okay, just remember that.
Indeed. Indeed.
Drea, for the record, I don't agree with you. So
I know.
I don't want that to be put out.
That's good. It's cool. What? I'm cool. My opinion is my opinion. I ain't putting that on nobody.
Yeah.
I
Callie,
appreciate you, Rebecca.
Callie, you know, always got my love and respect. You already know. Aaron, it was great to meet you. Have men evolved? Black men, I believe, are always evolving. Men as an XY chromosome, as far as like all the way globally, nah, I think it's
Rebecca,
always
you biased.
Hold on, Dre. This is her final thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm okay to be biased, but I'm still
no,
gonna speak my
Rebecca,
thought.
make your final thought. Don't
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Globally, I don't believe that. I think men are going to be, you know, in their element as far as always protective, and I think that's where it comes from. I don't think it's like you know, they're just so savage. I think it just comes from protectiveness. But Black men as a whole, I believe, have definitely evolved. So that's my final thoughts. So.
No doubt. Aaron.
Life, as far as we know it, you only get one. Time is limited. It's finite. So it doesn't matter if you move slow. Just don't stop moving. Don't stop learning. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Keep taking that first step. Keep evolving. Keep growing.
Indeed. Callie.
Perfect.
People don't grow in echo chambers. Diversify the people that you hang around with, and you can better formulate your opinions, and you could juxtapose them against others, and you know that's how you grow and evolve. That's it. That's all I got.
Indeed. John Henry with the $5 says, just saw this. Did you discuss the Council of Nicaea is where the myth of Jesus created? Well, that wouldn't be true. Jesus is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So, you know, there's that. Hey, man, great show. I like the conversation about the evolve, right? Because just breaking down the words, right? And I don't even think people are trying to create narratives, just trying to understand it in the way in which they see it, right? And I hope that there's continue to be adaptation in the conversation, right? And you can adopt something when you hear it and it has more merit than what you initially came with, right? You should be able to adopt that principle and then apply it, right? So regardless of who says it, you know, regardless of how you feel about that person, if Callie come and say some smart shit and it's smarter than the shit I was arguing with, I'm gonna take that, see if I can debunk it. If I can't, then I'm gonna adopt it, right? But this was fun. I think we might be done with the men have evolved. I think we've been assessing this shit for 9 hours today. I might be only right, Aaron, if we put the women on the hot seat, you know? I think we made it farther.
What's the hot seat?
God, Drea, this is my final thought.
Oh.
Don't say sorry. That's the 40th sorry you done said all night.
It's my first thing. I don't even know what. Oh God, I'll wait.
No. What I mean by the hot seat is just if I say, you know, it says men have not evolved. Mm-hmm. That women on the hot seat would just simply be women not evolved. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm okay. Thought you was about to do something crazy.
No. John Henry the I'll leave it here, Hamp. You know I won't lie to you. Oh, you definitely lying. I don't know if you ever seen the real breakdown in the Bible. When I go there, this shit get dark. It get dark, so
please invite me.
Yeah, I got you for sure. I'm going to sleep though. I was sparring today. I'm already kind of groggy. I'm gonna sleep good. That's for damn sure. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow night. If you noticed last week, we discussed how most women are unbearable, right? And we actually found out that there's portions that things that women do that are being constituted as unbearable, which are things that are more of annoyances, you know, but they are used in hyperbole against women when the truth is you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of that shit, you know. And I think tomorrow, most men ain't shit is on the table. Dre, you want to come in? You want to come for that?
This is off the hook.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have Callie get in touch with you because I'm doing a curated panel to where, because if you ever watch the show, I usually drop the link in the chat and whomever in the chat can come up, but they got to be on camera so we don't get a whole bunch of people. But for like the night shows, I usually curate the panel, which means it's closed, you know, so only specific people have given a link. So that should be interesting, man, for sure.
Okay.
Hakeem with the $5 says, my birthday in June. Would you be willing to have a player haters ball episode to help me celebrate? I got you. As Abe with the $2 says, leave it to John to change the vibe, man. You know it's all the atheists, man. Salute to the atheists in the building.
When you doing this, Hemp? I mean,
tomorrow
Hemp,
night.
When you doing this? Are y'all gonna do this live?
Yeah, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock.
No, I mean like in person panel.
Yeah, we did it before. Yep. That takes a little bit more planning, but we've done it once, so I'm trying to perfect it, and we'll continue to do it. And once I perfect it and get all the equipment in order, I might do it more on a consistent basis, you know. So
you're dope.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, man. For sure, man. Damn, I had fun today. Overall, was a good day today. Salute to Shrell, Aaron, Callie, Rebecca, Drea, everybody who hit the panel this afternoon. This afternoon panel was hot. Cheeky did a hell of a job. Marvelous did a hell of a job. Mr. Fantastic, man. It was a fun day today, man. Salute, man. So y'all be safe. I will see y'all tomorrow night. Most High willing. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do, man. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Be safe and do the right thing, man. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we out. Hit the Discord.